Ladies and gentlemen, what is up? Buffalo Fanatics, a slow dance for a slow game. We're dancing nonetheless, but it just felt like we couldn't dance party style after a W like that. So we're dancing like we're in the jazz club tonight because we got to dance for a W. But we got plenty to talk about after what was a sloppy mother effing game in Orchard Park this afternoon. The Bills do get it done, 24-21, to improve to 12-3, keep the slim shot of a 1 seed alive. But boy, oh boy, that was as disgusting a W as you will find. Rico, how you feeling, brother?
I am feeling all right, folks. Listen, people are not liking that you're wearing a green hoodie. What's going on? You got no
Christmas is in 3 days. I mean, get in the spirit there, Cody. Come on.
Getting in the spirit, Cody Benz. Listen, man, we didn't put it down on these Patriots like we would have liked, especially being at home and how all the festivities. But at the end of the day, folks, a win, as nasty as it sounds, is a win. A win is a win. We will not be talking about this game 2 weeks from now because we've moved on, right? We've talked about it. Bot and I were just talking about just a moment ago. It's our turn to get a win like this. It's our turn. We've seen the Patriots do it all year long. They've been winning some ugly ones. And it may not be pretty, but it gets the job done. Good teams find ways to win. And I'd like to think that we're a good team. But are you satisfied with this win?
Satisfied? No. Will I take it? Absolutely, especially the way that it started. You didn't know if a win was even going to be guaranteed this afternoon. The Bills jump out to a 14-0 deficit to a New England Patriots team that I believe had not led anybody all year 14-0. The New England Patriots come in with one of the worst offensive lines in football. They dominated early in the beginning of that game. They dominated the time of the possession. They dominated the run game, the trenches. It was ugly. They came in with a game plan of keeping Josh Allen off the field, establishing a run, and then hopefully being able to dictate the game through that style of play. That's exactly what they did. Up 14-0, take a 14-7 lead into half. And if it weren't for them really imploding, Rico, if it weren't for the Patriots completely vomiting on themselves, making a couple of awful errors, that Drake May interception, terrible. He just threw it as if he was throwing it away. There was just nobody there. It was easy pickings for Cam Lewis to pick that off. And then the behind the line of scrimmage lateral that no one even knew what it was. It was such a bad play. Teron Johnson just says, okay, I'll fall on it. Touchdown. That was really the difference in the game. And then, of course, James Cook cracking off nearly a 50-yard touchdown, which it seems like he's good for that every week now. But it felt like, and of course, the Bills made these plays, and that's the difference. You can't take it away from them, and you can't discount it.
Nope.
But, man, it felt like, Rico, if they were playing 25 different teams out there that weren't the Patriots in this league, this probably would have been a loss today. Thank God it was the Patriots. Thank God it was a rookie quarterback who did make those errors because the Bills needed them in order to get this W. Like you mentioned, the Bills have been winning in such dominant fashion. The Bills have been putting up points at will. It is easier to kind of excuse a win like this when they really haven't had a win like this in some time. The last win that you could say was kind of like this might have been the Jets game, 23-20 on Monday Night Football, where the offense didn't do much in the second half and they got out of there alive. Ever since then, it's really been turning on the Jets and winning in pretty impressive fashion. But there was just so much about this game that was gross. And, of course, at the end, having Josh Allen's hand get banged up. I know he said he's fine in the presser. He didn't look fine. Just a lot in this game not to like, but a W nonetheless. And, of course, at this stage of the year, you're taking them however you can get them.
Okay, well, listen, I love where we're going with this. So let's get into it, right? We want to talk about what the things that we loved and hated. So let's talk about the positive. What did you love about this game? What stood out to you that you can say, you know what? I can at least clap my hands and applaud for this or for this person or for how this happened. What stood out to you that you could say, you know what? I love this. What did you love?
Well, I did love that despite getting down 14-0, they didn't panic and they allowed the Patriots to make mistakes that they seem like they do on a weekly basis. You have a rookie quarterback across from you. They kind of allowed the game to settle in, and then they took advantage of what Drake May put on the table for them. They didn't allow themselves to panic to the point where it cost them the football game. I thought Dorian Williams really stepped up in this game. You had Balin Spector out there in the beginning of the game. It felt noticeable that the middle of the field was not what you'd want it to be against a team that's had their struggles on offense all year long. I thought he stepped up big. James Cook, once again, what's not to love about James Cook's game right now? He is the perfect complementary piece to Josh Allen right now. And it feels like if Allen has an off game, which he rarely does, but he did today, you're going to need a solid performance out of James Cook. That's exactly what they got. 2 touchdowns from James Cook today, 1 in the air, 1 on the ground. The 1 on the ground was massive because they really weren't doing much of anything offensively in the first half, Rico. And if it wasn't for him breaking off that massive play, they might have gone into the half down 14 scoreless. So he was running the ball exceptionally well. He was great in the pass game. He had those 2 touchdowns. I would say above anything, what I loved the most was James Cook. And then once again, even though it was ugly, this second half team, right? This team has done this throughout the year here, where if they haven't shown up in the first half, they typically always show back up in the second half. And they did that today. They went into the half 14-7. They score 17 points in the second half. They hold New England to 7 in the second half. It was in garbage time. That drive, oh my God, that the Patriots scored on at the end was one of the most abysmal things I've ever witnessed in the history of the sport. It was just disgusting. Hard to discern a lot of what I loved in this. If I had to choose one, Rico, it would probably be the play of James Cook. What did you love this afternoon?
I'm gonna go see you hit on the offensive side of the ball. I'm gonna go on the defensive side of the ball. It's gonna be tough to you love something on defense. What are you talking about? You know what I did love? I love the fact that Dorian Williams makes an absolute difference on this defense. Call it what you want to call it. I like Dorian Williams on his defense, but he's not good in coverage, Rico. But you notice him on the field. You notice him. He can tackle. He'll hit you like a ton of bricks, and he's around the football. That's one thing I got to say that I liked about what I saw on defense. If we're looking at the defense, what I liked the fact that Dorian Williams was active and ready. Here's another thing I liked. He's been making plays all season long in his depth role. Cam Lewis. I liked what I saw from Cam Lewis, man. He had a few blunders in the game today, don't get me wrong. But the fact is, we were able to get into our role of turning the ball over, right? And taking the ball away, So him coming in clutch with that interception really sets him, really sets aside like where, okay, there's a reason we brought him back. He's active and he's mobile and he can be everywhere. You can put him at corner. You can put him at nickel. Oh, yeah, you can put him at safety too. Love what I saw from those two boys. And lastly, we got some pressure. We got some pressure today on Drake May in the second half. Like you said, second half was a tale of 2 stories. And one thing that I will say is we definitely turned it up a little bit more in the second half. A little more pressure on Drake May. He wasn't as comfortable as he was before, and we turned it around. So not a whole lot to love. Not a whole lot to love, but what I loved was Dorian Williams showing up and us. He's giving us a reason to we missed that guy. I have to admit it. I missed him. I missed seeing Dorian Williams on the field, and I love to see him today. And obviously Cam Lewis showing up and getting that turnover for us, and defense obviously coming in the clutch and getting that football, recovering it. But that was just a matter of luck, coincidence, being in the right place, right time. Name what you want to call it, but defensively they got us on the board, which ultimately got us the win. So those are the 3 things I can say that I appreciate about this game. And it's tough because you want to sit here and say, man, we won and it should be great. But if you look at the totality of the game, there were some rough patches and some rough moments. So those are the things that you can sit there and tell you that we loved. But if we're going to be real with y'all, and we know we have been, you got to talk to us, man. But what'd you hate?
I hated a whole lot about this game. It's really tough to find a place to start here. It'll be tough to find a place to finish. For starters, I absolutely hated the amount of penalties in this game. It was a microcosm of how sloppy this team was on both sides of the ball. Just a perfect example would be that final drive for New England there. How many plays did they run inside their own the Bills' 5-yard line? 15. It was unbelievable. Kaiir Elam, a massive culprit in that department. I thought he played a pretty horrid game today, and he was the victim of multiple pass interference calls towards the end that kept that game somewhat alive, I suppose, for the New England Patriots. The penalties were abysmal. The trenches, I thought tonight, I thought New England sort of set the tone in that department. And like I said earlier, this was one of the worst offensive lines in the league they came out and kind of dictated the way that the game was going to go. And that was kind of a concern of mine. You had a lot of injuries on the defensive side of things going into the game, but not on the front line. And this front line, I felt like today did not have their best effort. I thought they bounced back considerably last week after what they had done against the Rams, but didn't really see that on display today. And I know that you had said they got pressure, but man, they were blitzing the hell out of that team, and they didn't get home nearly enough based on the amount that they blitzed. They only got 2 sacks. I think one of them came late on kind of a blown play. It just felt like they were blitzing a whole hell of a lot for a lack of return on their investment there. 3rd and long, Rico, this is currently this team's biggest issue. It doesn't matter if they're playing the Lions, the Rams, or they're playing the New England Patriots. You might as well give a team a 3rd and long on every down, because that's what they'd want. They if you're an offense right now, you almost want to take a sack on 2nd down, because it just seems like you're set up for success if you're at 3rd and 7 or longer. They have the Bills have been getting eaten alive on these 3rd and longs, and they got eaten alive once again today. The New England Patriots were 7 of 12 on 3rd down, with 2 of those that they didn't convert being converted on 4th down. So the 3rd and long defense right now, I don't know what it is. If they're victims of that soft zone that they continuously play when there's a decent amount of yards to go and they kind of back up. I don't know what it is. Not getting home on the defensive line, that could be a thing. But I thought that, to me, out of anything, might have stood out the most as far as how bad things were today. You could really focus in on the 3rd and long department and see that the Bills were struggling defensively. I thought offensively, Josh Allen couldn't find a receiver today to save his life. Once again, the leading receiver for this team winds up being a running back. Today it was James Cook as opposed to Ty Johnson, but James Cook, Rico, led the way in receiving today with 26 yards. That was your leading receiver today. Josh Allen threw the ball nearly 30 times, and that equated to 154 yards. I did not think Josh Allen played well at all today, even prior to the injury. All in all, it just felt like this team showed up expecting to win. Luckily for us, they did end up winning, but they didn't seem to be as inspired as they were the last couple of weeks, and I think it showed straight out of the chutes here. I think you could go all the way, down a laundry list here, Rico, of things you didn't like in this game. Those are the things I think stood out to me the most. But ultimately, if you were to just take the win away, if you were to just focus in on how did this team play today, there was a lot to not like. And in week 16, that's not what you want to see. And I'm hoping it's more of an outlier than it is a theme. I can't say it's a theme when you've been playing as well as they have. But, the defense now, this is multiple weeks in a row where you're just not loving what you're seeing. And you saw today, Rico, if the offense of the Buffalo Bills does not have the performances that they've had the last 8 weeks going into this game, they're in trouble. Because if you're down to a 3-point game against the New England Patriots, what's that going to look like in the playoffs if you got to play Kansas City, Baltimore, etc.? So that's the concern right now. If the Bills offense isn't damn near perfect, this team might be in some trouble.
You've nailed it, man. There's not a whole lot that I can add to what you put forward. I'll say this, man. What I didn't like, all three phases of the game today, right? Special teams, the fake punt, fellas, like we gotta be better than that. We gotta get these guys off the field, right? Offense was not great. Defense wasn't great. All 3 phases of the game could have easily lost us this game had it not been for some things that bounced our way. So that's something that we got to pay attention to, right? You mentioned earlier today, 3rd down conversions. We converted 4 of 11 3rd down conversions today. We could not. Josh was sitting there patting the football, I don't know how many times, trying to see if he can find something, and just nobody was getting open. Now, I don't want to take away from what these Patriots got. They got some good defenders on that team. Individual defenders, they do have some good guys on that squad. But there's no reason that the leading candidate for the MVP cannot dice and slice these boys all up and down the field. Today, just didn't have it. 4 for 11 on 3rd down conversions. Not great. This is how we started the year. We were converting on 30% of our 3rd downs, and you saw how mightily we struggled. We started to get our act together by hitting on 48, 49, 50% of our shots, and today was reminiscent of how we started the year. That's number 1. Number 2, 3rd down defense. You mentioned that earlier. 7 for 11, and I don't want to take away from Drake May. Drake May is going to be good for the Patriots. Give credit to Drake May. They got themselves a quarterback. He's nice like that, and he's not really throwing to anybody that I mean, Josh Butte, I think it was Butte, whoever that guy is, right? He ain't throwing anybody. Hunter Henry near the end of his career. So when you get this boy some weapons and he's really doing it, he'll be nice. That's some love for the Patriots. I never really thought I'd ever do that. But anyway, third down defense, man, 7 for 11. These boys, they just wanted to do anything to us. We had no answers. We couldn't tackle. We couldn't cover. We couldn't do a damn thing. And that was reminiscent of them going up 14-0 right off the rip. Can't have that, right? Here's another thing. You were mentioning the penalties. Off those 13 penalties, 7 of those penalties turned into first downs for the offense of the Patriots. Dude, those are opportunities that we get these guys in long, like in third and longs and second and longs instead of giving them first downs. 7 first downs is absolutely nuts to me. We gotta clean that up, right? Time of possession. There was a stat line in the first half where the Bills were 8 minutes of time of possession to the Patriots 22. Bro, that's crazy to me. It makes no sense. This offense is way too good. Unless we're putting up points left, right, center, and we just take no time, it's not the case. We weren't putting any points on. We've got to be better. Now, you like Bot said, you want to play the Chiefs? You want to play the Ravens? You want to play the Pittsburgh Steelers? Bro, those guys will run the hell out of the ball and keep you on the sideline if we don't capitalize on what we're supposed to do. Last off for me, and it really stands on starting fast. Dude, we can't do this. We did the same thing to the Rams. We spot the Rams 14 points, and it was catching up from there. Luckily, this offense ain't the Rams offense. So we were able to kind of get a couple stops here and there. But if we couldn't stop a nosebleed today, bro, we would have been looking at another L for the Bills. Thank goodness we got out of this game, I mean, with a dub. But that slow start is going to kill us, knowing specifically that defense of yours could be the one that lets you down. So those are the ones that stood out to me today. And it sucks because we're sitting here talking about what we love, what we hate, but we hated this. And lastly, we hate that these games we play down. Didn't you feel this way, Bot? We play down. We haven't done that in a long time, to playing down to teams that just aren't on our level. The Patriots, I get it. It's a division game, but you can't play down to the Patriots. 3-11 Patriots, bro. No, we got to wax the Patriots. And we did not do that. So I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, it definitely did. Like I said, I don't know if it's playing down or if it's like we were even talking about it pregame for us from a fan perspective. It's hard to get fired up for a game like this, as opposed to when you had prior to this, the Chiefs, the Niners, the Rams, the Lions, all these big games. So maybe that was something to this game here where you're a 14-point favorite, you're back at home, and you're just kind of thinking, all right, things will go our way. Now, they did end up going their way in the second half. But yeah, there was a lot of elements of this game that you looked at and you just took away saying, man, they just weren't clicking the way that they had been early on. I mean, a good example of that would be Khalil Shakir. Like, when does Khalil Shakir ever have an off day? Khalil Shakir had an off day today.
Oh, buddy.
A couple of drops. You never see Khalil drop the ball. He had a fumble there that could have cost him late if that ball didn't wind up getting recovered by the Bills. The Bills actually had 2 late fumbles that they wound up recovering themselves, which could have flipped the game as well. So that was something that I noticed where he's off, and you just never see that. You never see him be off. So it feels like if he's off, then something's up, because he's never off.
Normal. Yep.
Allen was off a couple of throws that were just either like in the dirt, or that one where they went deep to, I believe it was Shakir on third down, just sailing it out of bounds there. I think that was after he hurt his hand.
Yeah, it slipped right out of his hand.
You're right. That's where I go to Joe Brady. I didn't think Joe Brady had a very great day today either. It felt like he was really creative last week against the Lions, giving these guys opportunities to succeed. And today, that was one of those moments where I'm like, man, I don't know. Didn't love that play call there. That felt very Ken Dorsey-ish. So that was something that stood out. All in all, Rico, I just felt like the whole entire game, it felt like they were kind of asleep at the wheel. And luckily, they were able to get it in park and get home safely.
So very interesting that you said that. Joe Brady didn't have his best game. So apparently, according to Matt Bovee, I guess the question was asked to Josh in the presser right after the game, and he said something to the nature of Allen with a super interesting answer on the offense. Basically said they know they're still playing for the number 1 seed, but also know they don't want to show everything in their arsenal and empty the tank right now. So knowing or reading this, does this give you solace and say, okay, well, I guess, or are you still not happy with how the offense played today? And damn, if they're saving this and saving that, that could almost cost us a game there. But do you like the strategy?
Well, I'll tell you what. We pretty much were told what this game was going to be, and we should have read into this more pregame.
Talk to me.
When they sat half their starting defense, I think that probably should have indicated to us this team is pretty dang certain they're not getting that 1 seed. I mean, I don't know. That's just how it felt to me. They had half their defense out. And now you're factoring in Allen saying, yeah, we're not really pulling out the whole bag here against the Patriots. Sounds to me like the idea going into this game was, let's try to win it with as vanilla of a game plan as possible and with guys not having to play banged up.
Okay.
That seems like how it went down. That's exactly how it felt. That's how it looked. And they did get it done. I mean, we're not sitting here like, I think we're more upset at the idea that in week 16, this team allowed the New England Patriots to hang all the way with them towards the end. I think that's what we're most upset about here. We understand you're not going to play this game like you would against a Detroit or against Kansas City. But it felt like it wasn't just going into the game with a vanilla game plan, Rico. They just weren't executing that vanilla game plan very well. It felt like. It just felt like there was errors galore. A vanilla game plan, Rico, does not entail 13 penalties. You know what I mean? A vanilla game plan is one thing. But playing really sloppy and just playing like you're kind of half-assing it, that's another thing. And I think that the penalties are an indicator of this game not necessarily being the vanilla game plan as the reason why this game was close, but just how sloppy they executed it. I completely understand that. I'm shocked he actually said that, to be honest. I'm shocked. It doesn't seem like Allen. Yeah. You know what I mean? That really does not seem like something he would say. You know what I mean? But it makes sense. Did it not seem to you like Joe Brady in moments today? It just felt like it was kind of like, all right, go out and execute, I guess. It just didn't feel like there was anything special there. Last week, it felt like the opposite.
It just felt like if not for James Cook, this could have been a disastrous game altogether. James Cook was our savior today. He came to play. And offensive line, I'll have to say this. I don't want to skip away from the offensive line. I think the offensive line did a great job by keeping Josh upright. That last sack was more so on Josh than anything. He could have threw that one away. He could have kind of did something. But, I mean, it is what it is. Josh is going to Josh right at the end of the day. But looking at this all together, I don't mind it if that's the case, if they're holding back because they don't want to give in. But at least execute the stuff that you already know how to. Right? We don't have to. Why do we have to dig deep into the bag? Just fundamentals. Coach talks about fundamentals all the time, bro. The fundamentals, man. Get open. Do what you need to do. Make that extra effort. This was a lot of effort and execution at this point. Vanilla or not. We lacked execution today. We lacked effort, and it showed offensively until we got sparked up in the second half. But for the most part, if Josh is saying they got, some in the tank and they're holding off, bro, you got 2 more games that you got to do that. Now, is this more so to hide things from the Jets? Are they worried about the Jets coming in and doing big things? I mean, I understand that you want to hold back, but who are you holding back for? Like, you don't know who you're going to play once the playoffs start. You don't know what's going on. So maybe this was more so we're going to face these guys again. You know what? I just figured it out. We're facing the Patriots again. Why show them everything now? We'll give them the vanilla. We don't want to give the Jets anything. And then we face the Patriots again. So then we'll put on for the Patriots. But by then, are we even playing starters?
It's all going to – this weekend's huge in regard to what that's going to look like, I would imagine, right? The other thing that's weird about that, it's like it's not like just a week ago, though, you were running everything in your power to beat the Lions, though. Yeah. So it's just a week removed where it's like, is it really that different? Are you really – why couldn't you just do what you did against the Lions then, I guess, is the point that you can make. I mean, you got – what are you really showing at this point that you haven't shown already? We are in week 16 of the season, and you're playing the Patriots. I don't think you have to bring out the playoff playbook in order to beat them, but I don't think you have to bring out the preseason playbook either. This felt very preseason-y to me, right down to the Bills' uniforms. You know what I mean? Where it just felt like it was an exhibition. I don't know. I just go ahead.
Let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
So is Josh capping? Is he full of it? Nah, you're not holding out and we got more in the arsenal. This was just a bad game. Is he just kind of fronting for the offense? Is he fronting for his MVP case? Is he fronting for Joe Brady? to say something like that, but then you look at the production on the field, you're like, fam, come on. Like, what are we for the Patriots?
Right.
For the Jets next week? For the Patriots again? Like, what are we doing here?
I think it's probably a mix of both. I do think that they probably went into the week saying, look, we're not going to do, we're not going to throw the whole thing at them. Right. But I also do think it was equally, if not more, them just not playing well. I mean, I think that on an even playing field, if the Bills just execute a basic offense and defense and don't completely crap themselves in terms of mental errors all game long, they probably win this game by more than 3, right? They don't go down 14-0 early on. I get what he's saying, and I'm sure there's some validity to it, but that to me sounds very excuse oriented, and that's not what Josh Allen ever does. So I'm pretty stunned he said
not
that.
normal.
No,
it's not normal. All right. Well, speaking of Josh, Josh obviously is in the running to earn his MVP. I mean, listen, folks have been saying he's run away. There's no, it's over. They're doing the Vince Carter. Even Vince Carter saying it's over. Give him the MVP. Question for you, sir. Did Josh Allen hurt his MVP chances with his performance today against these New England Patriots? What say you on that topic?
Well, he certainly didn't help his MVP chances today, Rico. That's unfortunate. He definitely did not help his MVP case today. And the other thing you have to factor in is that Lamar Jackson, I don't think he played the best game ever against the Steelers. He had a crucial pick that didn't end up costing him, but he did have a pick in that game that could have cost him. Yep. But what you're finding with the Ravens is they're still playing for their division. And they're also going to be playing on Christmas Day, a standalone spot with massive ratings. And that could wind up being something that could swing votes. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be ultimately up to the voting, committee in terms of what they view to be more valuable. The last couple of games here, are those going to factor in more than maybe they should? Up until this point, the body of work, are you going to consider that more? I don't know. But today certainly didn't help. I mean, Allen did not play well at all. And you now go into a game on Christmas Day where Lamar has that standalone. You also have to consider the idea that the Bills are probably going to play a similar style today, similar style to what they showed today against the Jets. Then should they beat the Jets and should the Chiefs beat the Steelers, the Bills will 99% be likely to rest their starters in the final week. So I still think he's got it, but today definitely didn't help. The problem is Allen has set the bar so high for himself that when he does have an off game, it just feels like it's putrid. You know what I mean? That's the problem. When Allen plays like he does and then doesn't have that type of day, it just feels terrible. Even though like today, it wasn't a good day for Allen at all. But I don't think Allen really cost him today for the most part. I don't think that there was many moments where I'm looking at it thinking, oh, Allen really screwed him today. Like you can go back to the Houston game and say, man, Josh Allen really played a significant factor in them losing that game. I just think Allen had a pretty mediocre to below mediocre day. But when you're factoring in how prolific he's been, when you do see moments like that where he becomes human, I think it resonates more with people because they're so shocked to see that. So definitely didn't help his chances, especially with what Saquon did today. I don't think that he's going to end up winning it. But yeah, definitely took a hit. I still think he deserves to be the favorite and should win it, though. How about you?
It definitely took a hit, and it definitely opened the door for Lamar Jackson. Listen, it was Josh Allen in the room staring at the MVP. And Lamar was right. He's got his hand on the doorknob. And Josh's performance today allowed Lamar Jackson to open the door. So now they're both looking at this trophy, but Josh is a little closer. So both these guys got 2 games to really get this thing going. If people think that it's just a runaway and give it to Josh, this performance today against listen, if Josh were playing, I don't know, let's say a contending team. Let's go back to the Lions. Josh were playing the Lions, and Josh put up these numbers against the Lions. Okay, because the Lions are a contending team. They're one that they're potentially supposed to represent the NFC potentially to go to the Super Bowl. But we did this against the Patriots, the 3-11 Patriots that everybody else has been walking all over, and Josh has one of his worst performances of the year in this game, right? When he's like ready to kind of solidify himself as the MVP. All he had to do was get the dub, which he did, and just put some decent numbers up. And that interception, the way he played today, it just was rough. Now, was it all on Allen? Obviously not. Receivers didn't really kind of help him out because his numbers would have been a hell of a lot better had they converted with what they needed to convert. But Lamar Jackson is plenty in this race now, especially with his performance. If Lamar Jackson puts up the next 2 games, 300 yards, total offense, and 4 touchdowns in each game, bro, now you've got a real race. And Josh just has to hold on to this thing. So, but for the most part,
well, I'll tell you what,
hurt today, in my opinion, and the door is open for Lamar Jackson.
What would really open the door and would be terrifying, and this is something we have to consider here, is that the 2 seed is not out of the realm of possibilities for the Baltimore Ravens. When I had considered the idea of the Bills potentially sitting Allen this weekend, if the Chiefs were to beat the Steelers on Christmas, I had thought about that, but then I had completely forgotten that if the Ravens win out and the Bills lose out, then the Ravens would be the 2 seed. Yep. I think if Baltimore jumps the Bills for the 2 seed, then Lamar would probably win it. Back to your point, though, in saying that if this was this type of game against Detroit, it would ding him less. I think it would ding him more. I think having this type of game against New England, if you're a reasonable person, you can look at it and say they had an off game in a trappy spot coming off of all these big, huge games where he played incredible. It was 9 degrees. Their defense spotted him a 14-point deficit, and he was due for a game where he didn't look like, Megatron, or excuse me, what am I trying to say? The guy from Transformers there, literally just a cyborg. He was due for a game where he didn't look like Clark Kent putting on the cape. So I think that if it's going to happen at any point, having it happen today, I think if you're like a reasonable person, you can factor in saying, yeah, but it was against the Patriots and it was kind of a letdown spot. And I think if you were to do that against Detroit last week, it would have stood out way more because it was like, man, big spot for Allen on the road against the Lions, and he puts up a dud. Oh, that's going to be a ding. So that's kind of how I see it.
No, and it's fair. And the thing is, the way I look at it, and I think you see it the same way, he still has a chokehold on this award. He just has to just continue, just do what he does, bounce back. But we all knew Josh Allen's been playing like a monster.
Yeah.
Like an absolute monster. By the way, I think you talking about Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime. Yeah, exactly. What did I say, Meg? I said Megatron. I wasn't even close.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think most people have seen Josh just kill it. It was to the point where almost people were sick of hearing, is he going to be the MVP? He's the clear-cut MVP. People were getting sick of it. So now that he's looked like a mere human, a mere mortal, now people are like, there it is. That's the Josh Allen. Listen, it's going to happen. Listen, you're not going to tell me Lamar's not going to have one of those games going forward. He could. It could come this Christmas where he comes in and gives you a nightmare on Christmas Day. So you just never know, right? But for the most part, we got the win. All that matters. But right now, it's more than the win. Josh Allen has an ability to get this MVP. His performance today kind of hurt, but I still think it keeps him in the running for that MVP. Now, going back to this offense, but this is where I need you, brother. This is where I need you. You got the Jets next and the Patriots thereafter. I hate that they're both division games because if you look at what has taken place today alone with division games, Philly were on their way to beating the Washington Commanders, and Jaden Daniels and these Commanders, you know what I mean, said, nah, hold on, I got a little something left in the tank, and they take down the big bad Philly Eagles. You look at the Panthers, they ain't playing for a diddly squat, right? And they take down the Cardinals that are vying for a playoff spot. We got 2 divisional games. You just saw a divisional game happen today, and it was a nasty one. And when we play the Patriots, it's a nasty one. It's always a nasty one, right? So what say you with these 2 division games? Does it kind of make you, I don't want to use the word worry, but like 2 division games, giving us the 2 division games, although they're not playing well, does it kind of make you say, oh, this may not be the cakewalk that we thought it would be? Because their division, they know us well. They know Josh Allen well. And you're going up against a guy that's been playing much better in, obviously, Aaron Rodgers. What say you on these last 2 division games?
I'm not that worried, really, because it feels like every year the Bills do play down to New England at least once. And then what do they do the next time they play them? They usually beat them by at least a touchdown. That's kind of what happened last year. This game was very similar to last year's game against Mac Jones on the road. They just wound up losing that game last year as opposed to winning it. So that's where you got to give them credit this year. They still won that football game. Last year, they lost that football game. That was the biggest difference, really. Last year, there were some games like this that they lose. This year, they had games like this where they won. I mean, think about the other divisional games that they've had thus far. The Jets game, they could have lost that game. It was a 3-point game, but they won it. The Miami game the second time around, that was a 3-point game as well. They could have lost that game. They won it today. 3-point game as well, down 14 at one point. Could have lost that game. They won it. So that's where I do give them credit. I'm not sitting here crapping on this team who's been as prolific of a Bills team as I've seen in my entire life. It's just that it was disheartening to see that it came when it came against a team that you were 14-point favorites against. But in looking forward here, yes, I mean, should you have the utmost confidence in the Bills taking the Jets and the Patriots to the woodshed? Maybe not, because it doesn't seem like that's always the case in these type of games. But the Jets are horrid, man. They had 9 points today against the Rams. Everyone thought Aaron Rodgers was back because they put up 32 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are vying for the number 1 pick in the NFL. And I think after losing to the Raiders today, they are really set up to potentially have the chance to do that. I think it's them and the Giants going neck and neck for that number 1 overall pick. But the Jets, you know what you're going to get, I think. That game's probably going to be close. The defense is probably going to give Allen fits. But the Jets all year long have done one or two things to lose themselves a football game every single week they play for the most part. Yep. Wouldn't shock me if I saw that again. And then New England, I feel like this one might have left a bad taste in the Bills' mouth, but it's all going to depend on what the situation is. If the Chiefs lose to the Steelers on Christmas Day and that 1 seed is alive in week 18, then I think the Bills probably roll New England after what they did today. And I feel like they're going to be like, whatever, we have got to avenge whatever the hell that was today. So I'm not overly concerned. Also, Rico, if the Chiefs beat the Steelers, then to me, it's just kind of like, I don't know. I'm torn because I'm at the point then where I'm like, I'm focused in on the 2 seed, but then it's Baltimore that becomes the concern. So to me, here's how I see it. Put your best foot forward against the Jets. Do not go into the Jets game like you went into today. And know that if you go into the Jets and play your best 60 minutes of football, you are giving yourself a quote-unquote bye week in week 18 against New England. That's how I see it. Go out, give it everything you got this upcoming week, get it done, and then deserve a much-needed week off going into the wild card round. How about you?
I absolutely love that. I love it. You got to play. You play to win the game. There's none of this whole, we had an Arsenal and we don't want to go into. Listen, every win matters. Every win counts. And right now, every team is trying to get a spot where they can put themselves in an advantage. Bills, you have you're in a specific spot to put yourself in an advantage and also fight for a number 1 spot that you own the tiebreaker against. This gives you every reason to fight hard and try to push for that number 1 because the Chiefs, I think they got Pittsburgh next, I believe.
Pittsburgh and then Denver.
Anything could happen in those games, man. And it becomes, whether he did bum his ankle or not, he looked pretty damn good. And Pat Mahomes was running around like I don't think I ever saw a high ankle sprain have mobility like that. So I say this to mention that, listen, go all in, especially because it's the Jets and we hate the Jets. Absolutely wax the Jets. And then you come in and you show the Patriots what should have happened to them today, and you go on their turf and handle business. And now at that point, you're either playing A for the number 1 seed, or you're staying strong for that number 2 seed, so you can now make history and go get that damn Super Bowl. Golly, do I ever want that thing? But God, what a disrespect, by the way, Vegas saying that the Bills were going to be 14-point in the division game, man. I'm sure they looked at it and said, you know what? The disrespect is not going to be happening today, and that's how they did it. And you mentioned something earlier: three game difference between the Patriots and the Bills and Jets. Then it was a 3-game Miami Dolphins and Bills, and now look at this one. No, right?
Yeah,
it's tight, man. So we got to steamroll these boys. We can't just play games. One big mistake, there goes a W to an L. We can't have that.
The last thing that we can possibly have happen is losing out on this 2 seed. That would be a disaster. It can't happen. So you don't lose out on that if you win against the Jets, because if you beat the Jets, then you're guaranteed to have at maximum 4 losses. The Ravens already have 5 losses, as do the Steelers. They could not lap them. And that would also mean that the Chiefs already locked up the 1 seed. So if you get it done against the Jets, you've earned the bye week essentially in week 18. So give it your all this upcoming week. That's what I'm hoping that we get. And I hope that, like similar to like what we got today, or similar to how we saw it against the Rams. I feel like today you got some inspiration if you're the Bills in a winning effort as opposed to a losing effort. I think Sean McDermott can use this week to really rip into these guys without it coming at the expense of a loss. He can really get in on these guys, drill in on them about the penalties, about the defense kind of letting up the line of scrimmage in the beginning of the game. The offense not really executing in the first half at all. There's opportunity here, I think, for this team to grow from a situation that they were able to win in. And, at this point, Rico, I know what the Bills are in the playoffs. Other than the Bengals game, which has been the outlier, I feel like the Bills have always given their best ball in the playoffs. So a game like today doesn't have me necessarily concerned about that. I just don't want them to fall in this lull of, kind of taking their foot off the gas, which is something that they've done in games that aren't just this game. You know what I mean? I want to see them, like you said, come out hot and kind of dictate the flow of the game. Because when they don't do that, that seems to be when they get behind the 8-ball.
All right. So this is great because you mentioned McDermott, and McDermott has to have these pep talk with these boys to pretty much buckle up, get it together. We're at the stretch. We're at the last stretch of the season. So we're sitting in a situation where we're looking at what this defense has been able to do these last 3 games. I mean, you only look at its recency, right? These last 3 games have not been great. A great look for the defense. So when looking at this defense, can you trust this defense? Is this defense going to be the reason the Bills sink and not get to the Super Bowl? Talk to me on this defense and what trust do you have in this defense, and will they be able to turn things around? Talk to me now.
It's what I'm going to stick with what I've said this whole time. I think that this defense is good enough to win you a game if the offense is playing at the caliber that we expect them to. But if the offense plays kind of like how they did today against a playoff caliber team, I do not think the Bills defense is good enough to overcome a bad offensive day from the Bills. So to put it as, bluntly as I can, if the Bills offense underperforms, the Bills defense will not bail them out. Whereas I think if the Bills defense underperforms, the Bills offense can certainly bail them out. Oh. So at the end of the day, I guess the way to answer that question, Rico, in my opinion, it would be the Bills offense that would cost them a playoff loss, because I don't think the Bills lose if the Bills offense plays the way that they were playing going into today. But if they play the way that they were playing today in conjunction with a defense that has not been playing what we would view to be high caliber playoff type ball, then they're in trouble. So that's what I think it comes down to. It ultimately comes down to what the offense is going to give you. Because even in today's scenario, and back to last week, and I had actually done a show after last week's game, a couple days removed, off a rewatch, and I had thought the Bills defense played way better against the Lions than we had given them credit for. Way better. And I look at that game compared to the Rams game. I think if the Bills offense shows up the way that we expect them to, and we get a similar style of D, even to what we got against the Lions, I think the Bills win. But if we get a game from the offense where the Bills show up like they did today, and then we get that type of defense, they don't. The Bills defense is the key for them in the playoffs. They got to make a play or two like they did last week, like they did today. Get the pick down in the red zone, force the fumble right out of half. Get the touchdown, even though it was a completely bonehead error by New England. They still capitalized on it, right? I mean, those things happen. Yep. The Bills defense, to me, in the playoffs, Rico, it's 1 or 2 plays to swing the momentum, and the Bills offense taking advantage. If the Bills offense does not play their highest caliber ball, they're going to be probably in some trouble against these top teams.
I'll tell you this, man, and a lot of what you just said is freaking bang on. You are not going to lean on the defense to bail the offense out if offense is having one of those days. And it happens. Sometimes the offense is just having one of those days where your leader in Josh Allen is just off. This is where you want that defense to come in and take the ball away and do what they do. Absolutely right. But going into the playoffs, we've had success with this offense, but everything in my being cannot trust this defense going into the playoffs. I can't. This is an opportunity for the defense after, the Rams game, you let them pull 40 points. You're like, whoa, we haven't allowed that in a long time. Okay, that was an anomaly. We don't normally allow that to happen. Whew, thank God that was just a one game issue. Oh, shoot, we got the Lions. Okay, we know the Lions can score, so let's try to limit it. Here's another 40 piece for y'all. Okay, we can kind of let that slide because it is the Lions. So we make all these excuses, if you will. Now, as prideful as this defense should be, you guys should be able to go in there and take care of business against the freaking Patriots. And you allow this game to happen? Fellas, we got to be better, man. And if we don't get it together, and if McDermott doesn't find a way to tap into these boys and make them realize, bro, we're about to be ousted yet again and waste the talents of our offense, especially this offense being great, y'all got to get it together. Because if you don't, man, there's going to be some big issues. So we are closely watching this defense and what they're able to do. Now, I want to switch the course up a little bit. I'm looking at this conference, the AFC conference, and this is where I find things very interesting now. Kansas City, obviously, the Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs are fighting for the number 1 seed, 1 and 2. You got Pittsburgh trailing right behind. They're 10-5 alongside the Baltimore Ravens, but obviously the Pittsburgh have that lead over them. All right. Houston locked up their spot. 2 open spots, the Chargers and the Broncos. But look who's on the way. You got the Colts, Dolphins, and the freaking Bengals with a 3-game win streak. Do you think the Chargers and Broncos will pretty much solidify their spot with the 6 and 7 spot, or can there be a wild card, an absolute wild card to come in and get that, maybe that 7 spot? I'm looking at the freaking Bengals right now, bro. They can come in and do some damage here. What are your thoughts when you look at that conference and how it could play out?
A lot has to happen for them to make it. So I don't think that they do make it. I do think it will be the Chargers and the Broncos at the end of the day, but I will agree with you in that I would rather it be that, because that offense is off the charts, and all it's going to take for them is the defense to make a play or two that they weren't able to make in the regular season for them to go kind of on a run.
Right.
I think too much has to happen at this point, Rico, in order for the Bengals to make it. It feels like the majority of the picture is kind of painted the way that we expect it to be, and that the Denver Broncos and the Chargers will occupy the final 2 spots. Watching those 2 teams the other night, though, I think the bigger question is, who would you rather play if you're the Bills? Would you rather play the Chargers or would you rather play the Broncos? Because I think that's what it's going to end up coming down to.
Ooh, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, the 7th seed, I mean, either they're similar to me in a way, somewhat. But if I were to choose which one I'd rather play, probably the Chargers, to be honest with you. But then I look at the Chargers and be like, hold on. They could get Gus is a big-time runner. I mean, he's a little older. And they can get J.K. Dobbins back a little bit. So stopping the run is an issue for us. So this is where it goes back to the defense. We've got to make these stops, because if we face these teams that can run the football, and Harbaugh will run the football, that's what he wants to do, run the football and play good defense. And right now, they've taken a couple losses here and there, but that's what they've been able to do all season long. But I'm looking at this conference, man. It could be us solidifying that 2nd spot, and it might be Denver. And we saw what old Bo Nix looked like under duress. So
yes.
Hopefully, maybe that's the route that we end up taking. Now, there's also these other conversations of, and I don't know how you feel about it. People are fighting to get the number 1 spot. Some folks are saying, whoa, chill out. Keep the number 2 spot. The route for number 2 is way better than number 1. Are you in that mindset of saying, yo, we're good at number 2, man, just keep the number 1 because I don't like the matchup that it presents for the Bills? Or are you one of the fans that are sitting here going, bro, I don't care who we play? How do you look at it strategically? Or I don't care who we play. What do you got? Because that conversation is happening right now.
I don't think it matters what I want, because I'm pretty sure the 2 seed is exactly what they're going to get. I do not. If you asked me 3 weeks ago, I thought the Steelers really had a fighting chance of beating the Chiefs on Christmas Day. They have been bad the last couple of weeks. The Steelers, we were waiting for the Steelers to become the Steelers, right? Remember Ben Roethlisberger's final year, Rico, where they started out, 11-0, and they didn't look good the whole time. Yeah. Yep. And then what happened? They lost to the Browns in the wild card round. Not only did they lose, they got destroyed against Cleveland. And that was a team that they have had their success against, of course, within the division. That team kind of collapsed. They're not collapsing right now, but you've seen what that offense is like without George Pickens. So I don't know. They still could. I mean, the Chiefs allow anybody to play with them, but the thing is, the Chiefs also allow anybody to play with them, and then they beat everyone who plays with them. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
So do I think that the Steelers are going to be the team all of a sudden the last couple of weeks against contenders who have kind of crapped themselves? Do I think they're going to be the team that kind of swings the door open for the 1 seed? And then do I think a rookie Bo Nix is going to be the one to take the door off the hinges and allow the Bills to walk into it? No, I don't. And I think that now the 2 seed is pretty much become inevitable to me. And with that, I am fine with it, because I think the path to the AFC Championship is one that if you, mind you, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, I want to handpick this team and play them, right?
Yep.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yep.
But you know how it goes. If
course.
you look at the playoff picture, there are teams you'd rather play than you'd want to play, right? And I think that we would rather play either Denver or the Chargers at home and then Pittsburgh at home, as opposed to playing the Ravens in the divisional and then the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. That's kind of how I see it. And, I'm looking at it like my Penn State Nittany Lions here in the college football playoff. I don't know who was on the committee that decided to bless the living hell out of Penn State, but they lost the Big Ten championship, and their reward for that was drawing SMU, who they just beat by 28, and now they're playing Boise State in the quarterfinals, and they're a double-digit favorite in that game. Meanwhile, Oregon, who beat them in the Big Ten championship and hasn't lost the game all year, now has to play Ohio State, who they're an underdog against in the quarterfinal.
Crazy.
So my point here is sometimes the road paved for you is the road you should just take. I think the road being paved for the Bills right now is one that I certainly wouldn't turn down. Now, with that said, if the 1 seed was open, Rico, I sure as hell wouldn't turn that down either.
Absolutely
But I'm not sitting here crying myself to sleep because the Bills probably aren't going to get the 1 seed. But how about you?
And here's the thing, and the conversation being had right now is not necessarily from what I've been reading about who you play, it's how many you play. And some folks are like, hey, I'll take the rest. I'll take that 1 game rest and try to, get that 1 game, 1 less game, because they talk about guys that have played that 1 extra game and you go in banged up in the next one, banged up in the next one after that. So there is that element of getting that rest. So do I want that number 1 seed? Absolutely. If we do happen to secure that 2nd seed, I'm 100% with you. Sometimes if it's where you're supposed to be, that's where you're supposed to be, and that's who you're going to play. You just got to make sure that you handle your business. And the path, like you said, if it's got to be the Broncos, if it starts today, it's the Broncos and then potentially the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then we roll from there. And guess what? Those give us great chances. And then we get the rematch that we potentially want. And that's the one going against the freaking Chiefs for that AFC Championship. And then we take it to the damn Super Bowl. I get excited talking about it, but I don't want to get myself all worked up. So because we got.
The other thing too is if you did have to play the Ravens, it would be at home in the AFC Championship, so you would be at home for that game, at least. So that's the other added benefit too, if it did end up going that way.
It is absolutely the benefit. So I feel good about it. I feel good about what these Bills have been able to do thus far this year. I just like what the defense has been doing. Defenses has got me, with a 1 eye open. I can't rest, and I don't think any fan can rest. You got to sleep with 1 eye open, and that's exactly what it is. Speaking of sleeping with 1 eye open, I need your thought on something because the conversation is happening, folks. Conversation is happening. Matt Milano getting rest. Can he rest, or is Dorian Williams knocking on that brother's door saying, "Hey, bro, I want that. I want my spot back. I want my spot back," because he didn't look too bad today. And the last couple games, I know some folks have been saying, Matt Milano, I don't know, bro. Yeah. But we also know that Matt Milano's coming back. He's starting to shake the rust off, but it doesn't help that he's hurt and wasn't able to play today. What are your thoughts when you start seeing the murmurs or seeing it could potentially get louder of talk of Dorian Williams? Potentially, hey, can we see more of Dorian Williams on the field? But that means less of Matt Milano. Are you in favor of that?
Are they in favor of that? Because they started Spector today, and it felt like in the beginning of the game, it felt like as soon as Dorian Williams went in, this defense started to make significantly more plays than they were in the beginning of the game.
That's what I mean. That's crazy.
So, man, this is tough because I don't think that there's a world where they don't go with Milano. And I understand why. The guy has earned that right. I I think that resting him right now is probably for the best. I had always felt like resting him should be the priority over forcing him back in the regular season to try and utilize him to win those games. And we saw him come back and he immediately got banged up again. I want him healthy in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm fine with him going back in the playoffs. I really am. I don't think that in looking back on it, I don't know if he's been a detriment. And I also don't think that when looking at the linebacking unit, and then looking at how McDermott operates, I just don't see a world where he tells a healthy Milano to take a back seat. So I just think that regardless of how you feel about this, Milano will be the starter in the playoffs. I have no problem with that because I love Milano. And I think that in the playoffs, we're going to get his best crack. I do. And I think that it's better now that you rest him than continue to try to force him to play on that injury. So we'll see. But I don't look at this situation as a massive issue to me. I don't look at it and say Dorian Williams has to be out there. If anything, I look at it as a positive because last year, Rico, we didn't have a guy to put in there at linebacker. Now we're arguing about who should be starting. So if anything, to me, it's a silver lining above anything.
See, I'm like, I don't know. Reason for it is because sometimes we like the player. We did this very thing with Trey White. When Trey White returned, because we liked Trey White a lot. We did, right? And we wanted Trey. We wanted nothing but the best for Trey because Trey this, that, the third. But we also knew that Trey wasn't the old Trey. But we wanted Trey to be that guy because we like him so much. I think we might be falling into that trap with Matt Milano. Have we seen the best of Matt Milano, or is there more to come? And are we holding on dear hope that we get the Milano that we used to have? Because he hasn't turned into the Milano we used to have. What we do know is when Dorian Williams is in, you see him. He's impactful. At one point, he was a top 10 leader and leaders in tackling in the NFL. So I get it. You made it very clear by saying, hey, do they feel good about that? Because we saw Balin Spector, which was very surprising to me. But I also know that Balin probably started over Dorian because of the injury and they're trying to ease Dorian Williams in there. But something to really pay attention to when looking at that Milano and Dorian. I'm sure they have it all pegged out already. It's not a question, folks. Matt Milano's our guy. Dorian's the backup. End of discussion. And it could very well be that. But sometimes we get into that, right? If you go back and there was the question of who do you put in, Flutie or Johnson? Yeah, but Johnson's coming back. And blah, blah, blah. Should it have been Flutie or should it have been Johnson? You got conversation happening, right? But I hope that the team makes the right call, the right decision, and realize something is up. So hold on. Somebody said, y'all crazy to say Milano's washed. Nobody's not saying he's washed at all.
I think some people in the chat are. I think that's what it is.
No, there's nobody. I hope people are not saying he's washed. We just know that he's still got to get back into the groove. And it sucks that he got hurt. So he wasn't able to get some reps in the game. But we'll see. I'm sure they'll make the right call and the right decisions. So going into this, right? We're talking about injuries. We're talking about Milano. The big elephant in the room, obviously, is Josh Allen. Our boy Josh was banged up, that elbow, right? Word is from the thigh doc, it could be a funny bone, a real funny bone. And that had Josh favoring his right hand, which is his throwing arm, his throwing hand. And he finished the game, but I don't know, with some discomfort. And there was something that you noticed at the end of the game. 3 straight pitches to the left, not handing it off, not gripping the football. What are your thoughts? Something to be worried about with Josh Allen, with that hand, elbow, whatever you want to call it. How are you processing this?
I didn't like it, man. It looked bad. I mean, he said that it wasn't an issue. The problem is I think he'd say that regardless. So I don't know exactly what that means. But what I could tell from my personal opinion, visualizing how it was affecting him, he kept favoring it. It kept looking like he was grimacing when he had to use that hand as he kept shaking it out. They did pitch the ball 3 straight times at the end, which when do you ever see a team do that? Never. So that was clearly because of the hand. And then when they panned over to him during the broadcast on a shot, and he had a big thing on his arm and he was using his left hand to navigate the the tablet. So my hope is that's all that it is, of course. But people were saying that the left hand was nothing, and we all knew that it was more significant. And what did we find out today? That hand was freaking broken. So you're not going to be able to play with a broken right hand. So he's not going to be able to pull the cover over our heads on that one. You're not going to be able to play quarterback with a broken throwing hand. It's not going to be, you just can't do it. I don't think it's to that extent, but this is why I think beating the Jets is huge this upcoming week. If he can have a week off afterwards, I think that goes a long way, just because I think that he might need it. I think everybody on this team might need it to some degree. He said he's good, obviously, so I don't expect him to miss any time this week, even if it were a situation where, so say, for instance, that they didn't have to play their guys this week. If say the Ravens lose to the Texans, which I don't foresee, but say the Ravens lose and then the Chiefs beat the Steelers and the Bills would have the 2 seed locked up.
Yep.
I would love for him not to play, but say that there's a circumstance where he has to play, he's going to. All I can hope is that he is spot on in saying that he doesn't, find any issue with the hand long term here. I hope Thydoc's spot on. All I can say, though, Rico, is based on what I was seeing with him, man, it felt like it was really bothering him. How about you?
It does make me kind of worried a little bit, but I guess the bright spot in this is we know how tough Josh Allen is. So he'll play through it. He will play through whatever he can, unless that thing cannot function. You can't do anything about it. I mean, the last big injury Josh has ever had was that shoulder injury when Derek Anderson had to take over for him. I think that's the last time we've ever seen Josh miss that time. This boy is a juggernaut. He can play. So it does have me concerned, but I know how tough he is. And if Josh says, I'm good, then I trust him. I trust that. I trust that he said, I'm good. We're going to make this thing work. And we're so close. We're too far down the season for this mess to be happening right now. That'd be the worst thing for that would take place for the Bills. So he's going to fight through it. He's going to do whatever he needs to do. So luckily and hopefully it is just one of those things where it's just a couple of days it'll go away. We're back to normal. And then by next week, we can actually thrash the Jets. But I'll tell you this, man, when I was listening to the commentator and I heard him say, and backup quarterback Mitch Trubisky, I was like, whoa, why is he talking about Mitch Trubisky? What's going on? Where's Josh? It immediately had me in a panic. I was like, no. We can't be sitting anybody. What's going on? When I saw him finish the game, if he finishes the game, that tells me it may not be as bad as we anticipate it is. But seeing those 3 pitches straight to the left, and you're not able just to hand that ball off, had me kind of saying, we're going to be monitoring that the whole week to see what takes place. So hopefully this works out in our favor and he's healthy. It's good to go. It's just bang, bang play. He gets back into it and we're on our way to win the Super Bowl. So I hope it stays that way, that it's healthy and it's nothing wrong.
That's how I view it. I also think that this upcoming game, do not run the ball. I mean, seriously, like even if it feels like you have to, that's how he got hurt today. Like that's what sucked about today, Rico. You get in a situation against the Patriots, you're a 14-point favorite against them, and Josh Allen hurts his hand running the ball in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
Right. That's the situation you don't want to be in. That's why you got to take care of these guys while you can. So I don't want to see Allen running for his life late in the game next week to try and beat the New York Jets. I'm just hoping that if they're going to go with a vanilla game style, which he kind of alluded to, have that be one that does not factor Josh Allen's legs into the situation. And I hope he realizes that too, even though I feel like that's a moot point because he's going to run it if it's there.
He definitely will. You know what it is. You can't tell Josh nothing. Lindsay Moppert, I guess from, I think she's with WGR or question for WGR. I'm not sure where she's from, but anyway, Lindsay Moppert says Josh Allen said that he lost some feeling in his hand, but after hurting his elbow, he added that he hit his funny bone, but he's got that the feeling is gone now. So that is great news. It's encouraging news. That feeling is gone. Everybody knows how it feels to freaking hit your funny bone. Ain't nothing funny about it, right? But he says the feeling's gone. So that tells me he's back to normal because nothing worse than, man, when you're sitting here, I mean, I'm sure everyone's done it before, but when you sit here and you bang that elbow and you're sitting there trying to just get that tingly feeling away, because I saw him, he kept on hitting, he kept on touching here. Yeah. This is where you feel it the most, right? That little area here. So the fact that he's like, yo, I'm good to go. It's then I feel good. If Josh feel good, I feel good. We move on to crush the Jets. That's the way I look at it. going forward.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just getting warm too helped him get that feeling back. It was freezing out there, obviously, so maybe that helped once he got into the locker room. That's all I can hope for, honestly. Based on how it looked, it just kept looking like he was, going towards it, doing this, and then the pitching and whatnot. So, but like you said, I mean, the guy he never gives you any reason to think he's actually hurt. I'm hoping that's all it is. That's it.
Listen, that's what we want, man. So Bills getting that dub 24-21. Obviously, we didn't have our two safeties and Taylor Rapp, DeMar Hamlin, Rasul Douglas being gone. So how much would you say that played a factor? And I bring this up because I have to bring this up, man. Dude, as much as we want to try to give him all the chances possible, Kyer Elam did not look good today. Kyer Elam did not look good today. And I tell you, man, it's one of those situations where you're getting your opportunity. You got your opportunity over Jamarcus Ingram. Okay, what do you got? And you pull that where you just didn't look good. And you want every opportunity to get into the game. And it's just like, bro, Rasul Douglas may not be back next year. They may not bring him back. But based on today's performance, shoot, they might say, hey, man, you know what? We might have to bring that brother back because Kyer certainly ain't ready to take over because I'm giving this guy this opportunity to come in and he just doesn't get it, man. And first play, he's running with the receiver. Receivers got two things that as a DB you're taught, right? Obviously, you got to turn your head, right? But you're looking at the eyes of a receiver. If you see a receiver, their eyes get super big when that football's coming, right? That football's coming, their eyes get like this, and then their hands start to come up. So that's why you always see DBs fighting hands. So, bro, two things. You didn't turn your head around. You weren't even looking at the guy's face. Bro, he caught that thing right in front of you. It's like, all right, fine. Rust. We'll blame it on Rust. He ain't there yet. Then he's holding DBs. You bear hugging the dude. Like you bear hugging. You on the other sideline, not even looking, back shoulder throw, not even bothering to look, just face guarding. Didn't even bother. Dude, what are you, a linebacker? No, it was super disappointing to see Kyer Elam not have his best game. And we root for the guy. We want him to do well, but just not, you didn't talk yourself into the good books of the coaches. When you saw the performance from Kyer, are you like, yo, I can't wait for Rasul to get back?
The problem is, Rico, is it's not just like him getting beat, but when he's constantly just committing penalties. Oh. Like at the end of the game there, every single time they targeted him, he was already just grabbing whoever he was covering before he even had a chance to get after it. Like the one that extended the drive early on, the first penalty, it was a near right pylon throw from Drake May. That ball was never going to be caught. It was a bad throw. It was on the outside. It was out of bounds, essentially. But what happened was Elam grabbed him and kind of kept him in. So you make a bad throw into an automatic first down, extending that drive into an infinity amount of plays that they had. So that's the problem. It's one thing to not have a great afternoon, but the other thing, but it's another thing to constantly be a detriment to the team. And when you're committing penalty after penalty, now people were mad earlier in the game because the first touchdown Drake May had, which was a dime, by the way, you got to give him credit.
Yep.
People were on Elam's ass about it. It was a perfect throw. Like there was only so much he could do there. So I don't think that was the one thing I looked at as the major indictment of him, but it does feel like, man, he's very handsy. And it feels like if you're playing a better team that is aware of that against better receivers, which is going to be anybody that the Bills play in the playoffs, literally anybody. Dude, you know how costly these pass interferences are, or these holdings are. The penalties, like you mentioned earlier, how many did you say the New England had today that resulted in first down? Seven? I mean, that's insane. And the holding and the defensive holding and the pass interferences are the biggest killers of them all. The Bills had multiple today. So it just feels like he's never playing the ball, and it constantly feels like he's playing a style of defense that's going to get the laundry out on the field. And then that's the equivalent of just giving up the pass anyways, Rico. So, man, it was tough to watch today. And it's just tough to swallow in general, knowing that this was supposed to be the solution there, and it hasn't been, and it doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon, you know? And
most folks might say, you know what, man, like, listen, chalk it up to a bad game. There was a comment coming in from one of our viewers, actually, Nick's Tape Nation. It says, listen, man, I played corner and safety, and telling him to just turn his head around is easier said than done. Trust me, brother, we know that. Trust and believe, we know that, right? Marshawn Lattimore got burned twice today, same exact way Elam did. And I'll take Marshawn Lattimore over Elam all day, every day. But that's not the point. The point is, it wasn't just that one play, brother. It was multiple. Just not turning his head around whatsoever. Just it seemed lost. Now, was the game too big for him? It can't be. It's not like you a second-year player. You're not a rookie. I mean, you're multiple years into the game right now. So it's tough, man. So you want him to have success, but like, dude, it was rough. So now you're forced to now, all right, man. Jamarcus Ingram, you're gonna be my guy. I know I prefer you in nickel, but I might have to put you outside. They're in a tough spot, man. They're in a definitely tough spot. You got no choice but to lay with it.
A lot of people are saying they're more concerned with the D line than anything else. And I got to tell you, like there's parts of it that I agree with there. Like, because you can only really allow your corners and your back end of your D to be a detriment to your D if the front line isn't doing their job to the degree in which you hope for. Von Miller, man, the snap count needs to go down. I don't know what it is about Von Miller, but he's
Von?
Nah, man. Every time Von Miller seems to get past that first wave, which he's still decent at, he can never seem to finish the play. Are you noticing that? It feels like Von gets frozen in time once he gets into the backfield. And there are too many games now. That's why I was impressed last week. Like this is why today made no sense to me. The Lions offensive line was one of the best in the league, and it felt like the Bills D was able to get pressure there. Today, you're going against one of the worst offensive lines in the league, and it felt like the D line kind of got manhandled, especially early on in the football game. And Von Miller, I mean, not to call him out singularly, it's just that he's one person that stood out to me today in terms of like once he gets into the backfield, nothing's coming of it. And right now, the majority of tackles being made by this Bills defense, Rico, is all in the second or third level of the defense. Is that not what you're noticing as well?
I wonder, some things are done by design, and that certainly is not, right? Maybe his age is showing, and I've noticed the same thing, but then he's got moments where he comes in, and if it's not him setting the edge, which he's done a fantastic job in some games setting the edge, there's some plays that he's blown up because he's been there. So his experience is great, but he's got his moments where he's just, like you said, frozen in time, where he gives me Jerry Hughes.
He does get off. Yes, he gets off the line well, right? It just feels like 100%. Then once he's got to get his legs underneath him to complete the play, he doesn't have the speed anymore.
The speed, the motor, I think it's the motor, because what was one thing that was great about Von Miller is his motor. He could recover rather quickly by spinning back in and chasing down a quarterback. Gone are those days of it's like he makes that first move, and then once it's done, it's a wrap. It's like, you meet your lady for the first time and you're about to perform. You want to give the performance of a lifetime and just, hey man, double back. I mean, give me round 2, and you're like, bro, that's all I got. That's all I got. And he's the round 1 guy. Round 1, get after it. And if he doesn't get that quarterback, I'll get him in the next session. No, I need round 2 in that same moment, right? Let's go back to back. And he doesn't have that back to back. Now, the silver lining in this is Javon freaking Solomon. Wait until Javon Solomon gets a full year under his belt. This will be the perfect transition from Von Miller to Javon Solomon. And you might see a lot more Javon Solomon get into the game if they give him the opportunity to. But they're giving Von Miller respect because you're a vet in this game. And damn well, we pay you a lot of money. We're paying you a lot of money. So we're going to try to get the most out of it that we can. But please, folks, do not sleep on Javon Solomon. If you start seeing him make plays, it's not by accident. It's not all rookie. Nah, man, that boy is nice. But it all plays in they all tie into one another. If defense is getting their coverage, you get your coverage sack, right? If we're getting the pressure from the D line, our guys are able to do what they do. I can't expect Kyer or whoever to cover for 7 seconds, 8 seconds. Bro, it can't happen. It really can't happen that way. But for the most part, I do understand what you're saying, Vaughn. I mean, is he on his last legs? Absolutely. Literally. And this could be his last. I think this is his last year with the squad. Then he'll go into management somewhere. But for the most part, there might be a time where you might see less of Vaughn and more of the young bucks getting on the field. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But looking at this defense, looking at Kyer, looking at some of the guys that struggled, you understand you got to get your opportunities. But I can't wait for my starters to get back, man. Get Rasul back. Get DeMar back. I can't believe I just said that. Get DeMar back. I mean, get Taylor Rapp back, get the guys that have been together that know where they're supposed to be, and the depth guys can do their depth things. I just don't like them in the starter role because, right, you saw what happened today. Rough go. But we got 2 more games to end the season, then we get right to the playoffs. Hopefully by then everybody's healthy and the strategy does work. Play these guys, get healthy, and by the time playoffs is ready to go, we'll be ready to go. So hopefully that's the case.
Agreed.
That's the way I look at it. So now we got multiple super chats.
Hell yeah.
Are you ready to jump with the super chats, buddy?
Of course.
Listen, it's one of those games, folks. When you have such a nasty game, I don't know what bot. I'll speak for myself. It's hard to get hyped for a game that we just watched, the Patriots. I'm sorry. It's hard. Bro, we barely got by these boys. Josh didn't look great. Defense didn't look great. Special teams was like, it was just a game where we just needed to get through it. And that's how it felt like. So trying to find some silver lining spots in there. We're trying to looking into things that could affect us going forward. But, bro, I mean, if you guys feel the same way that we feel, bro, I'm just glad we got the dub, and we'll move on to the next. And we just hope that we can clean up what we were able to we defecated on ourselves in some of the moments in this game. So we have to clean ourselves up and get back into it. So that being said, we got super chats coming our way. Who we got? Dan Echo. What's up, Dan? Dan comes in with a super chat, says, yo, we all know division games are funny. Take the positive. D showed Allen doesn't have to put the cape on every game. And Cook had 100 yards. Listen, we spoke at length with the defense. I mean, listen, if there was more time and we left the D out some more, I don't know if we would have trusted the defense to do what they were supposed to do at the end of the day. We got lucky with a couple bounces, but we'll go from there. What say you on Dan Echo here?
Yeah, I just don't agree with that. Like, I don't think the D showed us today that they can save Allen from a bad day. Like, look what happened. Yes, I mean, they made these plays. I'm not taking it away, but the Drake May interception, it was just a god-awful throw. I don't know how many of these playoff quarterbacks are making what that rookie quarterback just did behind one of the worst offensive lines in the league with not a whole lot of surrounding characters to get the ball to. I mean, he just threw that thing up. There was nobody there, and he pretty much just gave it to Cam Lewis as if he was wearing a New England Patriots uniform, which you might have thought he was, because every time I looked up at the TV today, I thought the Bills were the Patriots for a split second with those uniforms. It looked like the throwback Patriots uniforms. But think about it. You know, yeah, they forced that fumble. That was a terrific play. So you got to give them that. But for the amount that they blitzed today, to only have 2 sacks to show for that, I thought that was sort of frustrating because they blitzed a lot, more than we are ever used to seeing from them. Didn't feel like it really swung the game the way you were hoping it would against a rookie quarterback. They usually have success that way. The third down defense today was abysmal, as it's been week in and week out. These 3rd and longs, like I said, doesn't matter if it's Goff or Stafford or a rookie and Drake May, they're converting them. And then, you know, you get to 24 points by Drake May throwing a backwards pass 5 yards in front of his own end zone. So I don't think the defense played as terrific as maybe some might think, looking at the way that they responded after going down 14-0. They did make plays, and I give them credit. But I think it was more similar to what it's been the last few weeks than it was an upgrade at defense today. It's just that they got a couple of big plays to go their way, and they had a rookie quarterback make a couple of plays that rookie quarterbacks make, and they took advantage of that.
They did. And then, listen, like you said, keyword rookie. Rookie quarterback made some rookie mistakes, and we pounced. And that ball happened to bounce our way at the end of the day. But I get what Dan is saying. We got the win, right? There were some positives. He's trying to look at some positives here. And his positives were James Cook go for 100, and we loved seeing that. And but the defense, there wasn't a whole lot of positive on that.
I mean, Rico, there's a lot of people in this chat that think the defense, won that game for the Bills today.
I mean, essentially, yeah, technically, yes. They fell in a freaking fumble.
Yes.
That ended up, ultimately falling into the end zone, and away we go. And like you said, they got that interception. They had some good moments. But at the end of the day, they 265 yards passing from our rookie quarterback. And if not for some crucial mistakes and some bounces, this game is way too close. It's way too close. But the story should not be defense let us down. There were some significant absences today. Offense didn't show up the way we naturally see them show up. So essentially, you can say the defense did help, but they didn't look great either.
I agree.
We wanted a big time bounce back, and we didn't get the bounce back that we expected. And I think our expectation may have been too high. That's probably what it was. I mean, I guessed that they would score 21 points today, which is crazy. They shouldn't have. They should have been at 14 that you guessed.
Yeah.
You said 14. I was like, I'll give them 21 points just because I think the game is going to be the way it plays out. So essentially, the D did show up much better. It looks better because we allowed 40+ points 2 games in a row. So it looks better. But there are some things that we definitely need to clean up because we could have played way better. But Dan, I do get it. There were some positives in the chat for those that are saying that there were some positives on defense. There was. We kept this team to 21 points.
Yes.
That's around our average. And we can certainly get better from there. But this team is 3-11. Let's keep it a buck as well.
Right. And that's the key, Rico. I guess what I'm looking at here in week 16, knowing what lies ahead in 2 weeks, which is single elimination football, that defense wouldn't have been a difference maker like it was today, because I don't think Patrick Mahomes is throwing a backwards lateral 5 yards in front of his end zone. I don't think that they're throwing that interception that they threw down near the red zone. I mean, think about it. Even if that throw doesn't happen and just take that throw away, they settle for a field goal there. This was a field goal game. So I give the D credit because they allowed 14 and they really, figured it out enough to win the game towards the end. I'm looking at this defense through a playoff window, Rico. That didn't scream, wow, they're back today, as I guess what I'm getting at. It's not like it's not like this defense single-handedly cost them the game, nor do I think they won it. It was just meh day today, but what you just said was key. I was really hoping to see some spots for this defense in a spot where you were expecting to see it, where you're like, all right, they're getting their confidence back. That's gonna mean something moving forward. And I just didn't see a whole lot of that today. Yeah,
we all wanted to see that. We had our expectations. Sometimes our expectations may be too high.
Yeah,
maybe what they did today was exactly what we should have expected. I think we may have expected more because we love 80 points in 2 games. Let's not forget that. Part. Anyway, Signified Nose. Thank you, by the way, Dan Echo, for that super chat. We got Signified Nose right after. It says, hey, maybe the most frustrating game I've ever watched. Flew into Buffalo from Baltimore. Couldn't let out my anger because I watched on the plane. Oh, that's the worst. You got to be quiet on a plane. You can't really go off, right? You can't even go off on somebody. I mean, unless you're flying Spirit, because all I hear is how Spirit Airlines is one of the worst, and it's Ratchet City. So maybe if you're on Spirit Airline, I mean, you could have just let out a rip if you wanted to. But I feel for you, brother. When you're watching a game like that, you want to be able to be excited. The only excitement you get is that you know that we won the game, and there's far more things for us to do. But you have to witness that game. It was rough. It wasn't fun to watch. I'll tell you right now. I actually sat down and chilled back and leaned back the whole time watching the game. That's how unhyped I was for this game. I had to force myself to get hyped. I'll tell you that much. I don't know how Bot felt, but how'd you feel? I
guess, like you said, we've been spoiled. It wasn't all that exciting. There's no doubt about it. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying, the Chiefs win games like this all the time. Yeah, 100%. Like, it's not like we're sitting here pissed off about the win. I mean, we would much rather win than lose. It's just that it felt like, I don't know. It just felt very uninspiring, I guess, in a spot where you were hoping maybe you would gain some momentum heading into the postseason is all.
Triple U. That's what it was. Alton Venezuela. What's up, Alt? He says, are we ready to have the talk that Dorian Williams should be the starting linebacker here from here on out? Well, Alton, I'll just say this. I brought it up. It's something I brought up last week too when I was like, I'm paying attention to Milano. I'm still paying attention now, and he got hurt today. So I mean, obviously last week and he didn't play today. That played a factor, but it does feel good. And what Bot said earlier, which was great, we were sitting here with Baylon Spector as our depth linebacker and AJ Klein as our depth linebacker, where we're like, golly, we have to call this brother to come in, and we don't have that problem. We actually have great depth at linebacker. So we should be happy that they're able to kind of play off one another. I mean, he could easily be a San Francisco linebacker, you know what I mean, that's no longer with the team. So, and he took it like a champ. I got benched. All right, I'm back in, and I suit up and I show out. That's the way I look at it with Dorian Williams. So I'm in the mindset. I'm not ready to say, yo, out Milano. But I'm not one of those guys that's going to sit there and sleep at it and say, it'll be fine. He's great. He's Milano. He'll get back into shape. You never know. You just never know with these things, man. Sometimes these injuries take a toll on you and you never return to the player you once were. Will you have moments? Yes. But sometimes you can just tell when somebody's still got it and somebody doesn't, I'm not there to figure out if he still has it or not. Maybe I'm just tripping, but we'll see. We'll see. You got anything to say on this, or you good?
No, I'm pretty much. I mean, I'm at with where I said I'm at with. I'm with it with what I said earlier, I guess, where it's just.
Yep.
I'm not ready to write him off yet. We got a couple of games back off an injury. I don't know if he was 100% ready to go, and I'm fine with resting him until the playoffs here. And like I said, knowing you also have Dorian Williams, we are in an infinitely better spot defensively. As bad as things might have looked the last couple of weeks, there is some major silver lining in the idea that they're going into this postseason in a far better spot defensively than they were in last year. So, I mean, that's something. Because they were going in a really, really bad shape defensively last year.
No question about it. Here we go. We got Michael Cahan says, loved our running backs today. Listen, man, the running backs always show up. You got to give the running backs credit. They come through and they do their job. And their job they did well. James Cook led the way. And you even had Ty Johnson getting in there and getting some key first downs, and along with Ray Davis, man. So we ran for 172 yards today. 172 yards, man. So when Josh may not have the sexiest game, lean on the RBs, man. This is something that we haven't had in a long time, where we can lean on the run game and get us going. Thank goodness Joe Brady, he may not have been in his bag too much. Maybe he was saving some stuff. But one thing's for sure, we can damn sure run that football. Shout out to the O-line, shout out to the run game, and shout out to the trust that these guys have in the run game. So good observation, Mike.
I think if there's one thing you wanted to single out today in terms of why the Bills won the game, it was the running backs. It was the run game. The Bills won today, I think, because of what we got from the run department. And the offensive line, I thought, played well again, as they have every week for the most part.
For sure, man. Listen, we ran for 28 carries, 172 yards, 6 yards a pop, right? And take away the 46-yard run, we still played good ball. We still ran for over 140 yards rushing. So, listen, kudos to the D. Like, Ty Johnson rushed for 30 yards, 5 yards a pop. Josh Allen, 5 yards a pop. And Ray Davis had 5 carries for 12 yards. But, I mean, listen. He had an 8-yard long. We'll go from there. He's a banger. He got some key first downs. You love to see it. All right, let's go to what's Mitch saying? What up, Mitch?
Mitch with his weekly banger, baby. Love it. What is Mitch saying? Mitch says, reminds me of the Jets game. Yeah, it's like we were saying earlier. These divisional games. That's now 3 divisional games that have been within 3 points. He said, enough said. That's what it reminds me of. At least the Buckeyes beat the brakes out of Tennessee. I heard even Michigan fans loved our SEC chants after running them out of the building. P.S. Allen will be fine. BF is the best channel on YouTube. Hit that button for my guy, Mitch Rico. Yep, Mitch, how about them Buckeyes? Dead in the water until they weren't. Destroyed the Vols yesterday. I didn't see that coming. Maybe we'll see them Buckeyes in the championship game. The Nittany Lions and Ohio State. That would be something, but man, I tell you what, Ohio State looked damn good yesterday in the quarter, or in the first round of the playoffs.
Hold on, you think Texas going to take the whole thing? Are they good enough to take the whole thing?
I don't know who's going to take it this year. This is the most wide open college football year I have ever seen. I really have no idea. I think Texas has probably, I would argue, the best shot out of anybody. But man, I don't know. I think it's anybody's game, really. I don't think there's a single front runner right now.
Watch out. Boise State might shock the world. You just never know.
It would come at the expense of Penn State, which wouldn't shock me in the slightest.
In the slightest. Here we go. We got Matthew DeVideo. What's up, Matt? Matt goes, glad we won. I'm assuming he's saying glad we win, but the defense gave up many yards and offense sort of made some moves, but also gave up many yards. And don't get me started on those flags, but we need to get healthy, both offense and defensively. You were absolutely right, especially the first half. Like, there was a point where, I don't know, there was like 30 seconds left. I thought we were going to double dip. I thought we were going to go in there, score at the end of the first half, get the ball back, score in the second, and then just put the Pats away for good. And then right before the first half, these boys are really just chunking down, getting chunk yards. They must have gained, like, off that rip, like 60 yards, just like that. I was like, nah, man, you defense, wake up, man, wake up. Like, they're not just going to go into halftime and saying it's over with. You got to wake up. So the video, I do get what you're saying. Trust me, we do. But listen, game's over. We got the dub. Like you said, enough said. Let's move on with it, and we'll go from there. What do we got? Shadow Blaze. Shadow Blaze comes in with a super chat. Appreciate you, Shadow Blaze. Just hopped in. How we doing? Concerning game today? Got a lot to clean up. Massive playoff concerns. What do y'all think of the very ugly win? Fans have to lower expectations. Do you think fans have to lower expectations? Because I'll tell you this. There's some people, I got a comment today when I was doing my Bleacher Report. Hey, at least we won. Like, we won, guys. Let's chill out. We won. Those are the responses I do hate. But anyways, I'll let you jump in on this one. Shadow Blaze talk about, hey, should fans be lowering their expectations?
If we have to lower our expectations, then I would argue every other fan of another AFC team should lower their expectations. Because there's not a single team in the AFC right now that is cut and dry better than the next. I don't think. I think every one of these teams has their weakness right now. The Bills defense seems to be their weakness. The Ravens defense seems to be their weakness. The Chiefs, in them playing super tight games, could that end up costing them? It hasn't, but could it end up costing them in the playoffs? They've been playing these Russian roulette style games every week. That could be their weakness. Plus, they haven't scored more than 30 all year long. So if they get in a shootout, could that be their weakness? The Steelers, we've seen their weaknesses over the last couple of weeks. So I don't think we have to lower expectations, because I think the expectation should be probably the same for the majority of these teams right now. It just seems to be like it's anybody's race in really both conferences. You saw today from Philly, and as banged up as the Detroit Lions are, like, I don't know, man. Obviously, the Chiefs should be the front runner just based on the fact that they're 19-1 in their last 20 games and they're back-to-back champions. Right. But man, has it ever been this wide open? Like, I just feel like there's not one dominant team this year, Rico, other than the Chiefs, but they don't win dominantly. So
no, there isn't. Anybody can get got. And this is why we love the NFL. This is why some folks don't like parity. I think the NFL is one of the leagues that have the most parity, where anybody can get it. You go to the NBA, you got your top dogs, and nobody else is looking at anywhere else. I don't really pay attention to hockey too much, but I'm sure the top dogs are the top dogs. NFL has great parity, and it happens with free agency. I mean, baseball, you can just buy whatever the heck you want. NFL, you can't do that. There's a cap. There's this, there's that. So you love to see it. But lowering expectations, heck nah. I ain't lowering ish. We've been for so long at the bottom of the barrel in the AFC East for too damn long. We are now up, and it's on for anybody that gets it. So I ain't turning my expectations down whatsoever. I'm turning it up. I turn the expectations up because I want that damn Super Bowl. Before these two eyes close, I want one. Bot want one. We want to go to Buffalo. We want to.
God, yeah.
Dance it up in the city of Buffalo, man. Stop playing with me, man. I mean, no disrespect to Shadow Blaze. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
I get a little passionate, But let's move on to the next one. Woo! We got Marlene. What up, Marlene? I was about to sing that song Jolene for Marlene, but I won't do
Marlene.
Oh, you hit that.
Yeah, Marlene. Merry Christmas. Thank you,
Marlene. Charles, listen, Merry Christmas to you and have a great New Year. We want everybody in this chat, by the way. I mean, I don't know if we're probably gonna do it. You think we'll do a show before Christmas? I'm sure we will. I'll probably jump in there.
I'm hoping so. Yeah,
Christmas show. But yeah, Marlene, we appreciate that super chat. That's much love, and hope you guys have a great Christmas and be safe, be good, have a little sip for us, and we'll get back to it in the after Christmas. I love it. Thank you so much for that. Brian Rock comes in and says, "You know what? I got nothing to say. I'm just giving y'all some chat.
You know what? Brian Rock.
We're gonna give a little love to our guy.
Just
Brian
rocking and rolling.
He's rocking and rolling, baby. Signified knows. Not only do I trust the talent on defense, he said, not only do I not trust the talent on defense, I don't trust the defensive coaching staff either. Golly, Signified knows is coming in hot. I mean, shoot. The way that I know that
Signified hates the Bills. I think Signified hates the Buffalo Bills.
Listen, man, Signified, I'm waiting for you. Listen, you better be as loud as you are getting on these Bills. I don't say my Bills, getting on these Bills. You better come through when they make a defensive play that alters the game, that gets us the dub. You better come in here and just shout them out. I'm not saying bring a super chat in, nothing to do with that. You better shout these boys out and say, yo, defense came through. Defense came through, because that's what we're waiting for. And it's going to come at the least expected time, where it's just something happens where it's a big play for the defense, and they end up being the reason that the Bills do something big and advance to another round, and maybe advance to win the Super Bowl. I'm just saying, man, defense is going to have to show out. They're going to have to gain their keep. So it'll come soon. We got Scott Ingrick comes in and says, I'm a huge Milano fan, but believe Williams should start and is the future of this team. What do you guys think? I mean, we kind of shared our thoughts on Milano earlier. We're not out on Milano. At least for me, I got my eye like this. I'm like, I'm watching you, bro. I'm watching you because I remember seeing Trey White, and we love Trey White. We didn't want none. We didn't want to kind of, move on from Trey White because we said Trey White's our guy. But Trey White was, he's getting burnt left, right, and he just wasn't the same. Just wasn't the same. Not because he was not talented enough, but the injuries got to him. Milano's the same thing, and he's 30. So have we seen the best of Milano? We're not there yet. So I don't want to say that we poo-pooing on Milano, but at least I have my eye on. And Bot is like, yo, I am not out on Milano. Milano's still my guy. We're still rocking. Just let him get a chance to get his feet wet and get in there because he's going to be a big contributor on this defense. That's what I look at it.
Agreed. But I think we've seen the best of them. We probably have seen the best of them. But we just need, can we get shades of the Milano we've come to know and love in the playoffs? That's what I'm hoping for. Because that's when you're playing your best ball. That's when you're laying it all on the line. So,
yo, do you think there's a chance that, like, yo, by next season they're like, yo, we got to make a decision on Milano? Are we bringing him back?
I mean, based on what they did this past season, I think it's got to be on the table, right? When you consider Poyer, Hyde, Morse, Trey White, like, it's certainly not off the table, I would imagine, right?
It has to be. It's a tough conversation to have. So this might be his trial run to let us know, do you still got it? Because if you don't show that you got it, man, we got to make a decision on you. I hate to have that conversation, but I mean, we ain't the owner, so it's gonna be the Pagulas and Brandon me making that tough call. What do we got? We got my man Shock comes in and says, Z-Bot, I have listened to you for a long time. You are a star, and I'm a Chiefs fan. Wish you were on our side. Trust me, as a Chiefs fan, you guys are fine. Josh Allen is almost unstoppable, like Mahomes. Oh, that is praise coming from the ops.
I love the love I get from the ops. They're my fave. The Chiefs ops are my fave. I got a very loyal op fan base, and I love all of them. They're what I love about the Chiefs fans that tune into BF, they are bipartisan Chiefs fans, which I love. Sure. You don't find that a lot in any fan base, and I love that. I love how they come in here and show love. They show respect to the team that has probably played them the best out of anybody since Mahomes has taken over, and they know. I mean, they know, just like we were talking about earlier, would we rather face, Russell Wilson and the Steelers or Lamar Jackson and the Ravens? We'd rather face the Steelers. I think the Chiefs are in the camp of, would we rather face X, Y, and Z or Allen? We'll take X, Y, and Z. So they get it. We get it. That's for sure. We know better than anybody, of course, what the Chiefs are bringing to the table. But I think what he's saying here is that, he knows that Allen at any given moment, this is why you have to trust this team in totality, is going to be the best player on the field, and that's a situation that nobody wants to face in a single elimination type environment.
100%. I always wondered, Chiefs fans, if they look at Josh Allen and say, I want to avoid Josh Allen as much as I can, or they're like, yo, I love watching Josh because they just compete. I mean, I don't hate the Chiefs because, like, I do hate the Chiefs. I'm not gonna cap, but I enjoy when both teams face one another because you're gonna get the best out of the two. I wonder if Chiefs fans look at it like, yo, I don't want to face Lamar. I'd rather face Josh, or I don't want to face Burrow. I wonder how that. I mean, as a fan base, how Chiefs fans look at it that way, and do they fear Josh like they do Burrow or Lamar, or do they have one where they'd rather face more one than the other? It's very curious. If there are any Chiefs fans in the chat, let us know how that shakes out. Shadow Blaze comes back with a super chat and says, hey, the defense is unfortunately ruining Josh Allen's 20s. I feel for the guy. I just win at least one. Listen, but we're gonna get one, man. We're gonna get one. It's just a matter of time. It'll come. I mean, listen, man. Elway didn't get one for a long time until he did. You know what I mean? Peyton Manning didn't get one for a little bit until he did. So it's gonna take some time. We'll get it eventually.
The defense just needs to be good enough. If Allen's playing up to his MVP caliber, the defense just needs to be good enough. They were not good enough last year against the Chiefs. That's why they lost.
That's right.
If the defense made one play in that game, it could have swung the other way. They didn't make a single play. They got destroyed. They just didn't have the personnel out there to adequately compete with what the Chiefs had. And you saw that. Despite the fact the Bills dominated time of possession, they could not stop Kansas City. They could not win. I mean, the Bills defense this year, despite their struggles, they played well against the Chiefs. I mean, you could argue that was probably the last time they've played. I mean, the Niners game is kind of an outlier, Rico. It just felt like they didn't even show up because of the weather. But in terms of like an even playing field, I felt like the last time the Bills D really played real well was against Kansas City.
That's true. You know what though? You're right though. So but we've been losing to this team for so long. We've found a way. To try to play them as hard as we can, right? So we're built to try to face these Patriots. Let's keep it a buck. We're built to face the Patriots, and that's why we play them so well. So
the Chiefs, you mean?
The Chiefs, excuse me. I said Patriots.
Yeah.
The Chiefs.
I mean, we're built to play them. We're the same, doesn't it?
Yeah, honestly, it does. We're built to play these guys, so that's why we went after certain personnel so we could combat and go up against them. We didn't take a Dalton Kincaid just for taking Dalton Kincaid. We took a Dalton Kincaid because we know that what Travis Kelce is to Pat Mahomes. In clutch times, we're gonna need Kincaid to do his job, right? So there are certain pieces we brought onto the team so we can take on the Chiefs. We just got to handle business. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Handle the old business. Robert Jenkins says, I'm a diehard Bills fan. This feels like an L. Console my friend Jenkins. What do you want to tell him?
Rob, the only thing I can say is it felt like an L to me, kind of. It felt like as much of a W. It felt like as much of an L as a W can feel like, I suppose. But like I said earlier, the Bills lost a lot of these type of games last year. They won this game. They were down 14-0. They could have lost this game, and they didn't. So even though it feels like an L, and I do agree with you, it does. A lot of this game felt like an L. Yep. It was a W. And these are games last year. It felt like the Bills lost more than they won, especially earlier in the year. And they really haven't found a way to do that much this year. So that's the silver lining in this. But I completely agree with them. I mean, a lot of this game felt like if they were playing anybody else, it would have been an L. So therefore, you feel like it was an L. It's weird. It's like you play the Rams, and that felt like a win, even though it was a loss. This felt like a loss, even though it was a win. That's football for you, man. It's just the way it goes. But a W nonetheless, Robert. Hopefully, they look significantly better against the Jets next week.
Let's go. Signified Notes comes back with a super chat. What up, Sig? He goes, we don't want any business with the Baltimore Ravens. If I could design a player in a lab that's made to destroy our defense, it's Derrick Henry. Listen, man, the best way to get at Derrick Henry, it's not like we've never played Derrick Henry before where he hasn't had success. We've stopped Derrick Henry before. And to stop a big guy like that, you got to stop him in his tracks before he gets going. The guy's like Bowser. If you've ever played Mario, I've made this analogy multiple times. He's like Bowser. If when Bowser gets started, you're not going to stop Bowser. Bowser is going to bump you out the way, left, right, center. That's how it works. It's like playing Mario Kart with that guy. You got to get this guy soon and early. That's the way we look at it, right? So that's the way Signified knows I see it. But I get it, man. It's hard because he's had success against us quite a few times. But at the end of the day, we got to handle business the way we see it. And with him, get him early. Get him early. It's rally to the player. That's how you get guys like that. But with the Ravens, what makes the Ravens so tricky is if you you pursue my man too much, this is where Lamar gets you. Because now Lamar's got an arsenal, man. He's got Zay Flowers that's finding his way. Rashard Bateman has become the guy. And you can never forget Mark Andrews. So they got something going over there in Baltimore. I'll tell you that much. They got something going over there. So we'll see how that all plays out. By the way, we got another one coming from my man, Robert Jenkins. What up, Rob? Rob says MVP means zero. Super Bowl MVP means everything. Listen, there's no question about it. Because here's the thing. In the regular season, it's all fine and dandy. We know this, right? We talk about the MVP at length. We want this and we want that, and Josh is going to be the MVP. And I was telling, I think I was talking to my brother about this, and I said, all this chatter is going to go right to the end once the playoffs start, because now nobody cares. So if Bills go in and get booted the first round, but Josh got the MVP though, who cares? We want that. That's what it's going to come down to. So some folks like Robert are like, yo, I don't care about all this MVP chat. What I want is that Super Bowl MVP. And I feel you, because I feel the same way. But sometimes it feels nice to win some. The quarterback needs to win some because he's been too good, too long for him to be, Super Bowl-less or MVP-less. We need that from our guy. That's right. That's the facts. That's just what it is, man. But I appreciate that super chat from my guy, RJ. Let's go to Jesse Snow. What up, Jesse? Jesse comes in and says, the Broncos play the Bengals next week. If they lose, the Bengals have a real shot at making the playoffs. Scary thought. Rico Bot, best damn show, period.
Hey.
Period. You know what, though? I'm going to say this. I'm going to be real with you, man. If the Bengals find a way to make into the playoffs, I said the Rams are a dangerous team because I think the Rams are the dangerous team in the NFC. If the Bengals find a way, I don't know how, but they find a way to sneak into that 7th spot, bro, that's a dangerous team going into there. Defensively, they're not great, but that's still a damn dangerous team going with Burrow. Burrow and Chase and T. Higgins, they got something going on over there. And Chase Brown running the heck of that ball. They got something going on over there. But I'll say this, though. We got to handle ours. But that's a very real scenario, Jesse. That's a real scenario. So we just got to make sure that we handle ours. Is that Raldi? Raldi Mina. I appreciate that super chat, brother. But if you have a comment that you want to make, talk to us. Let us know in the chat. Here we go. We got Mules 94. Imagine getting every team's best shot 4 years straight, plus an extra season because of all the playoff and Super Bowl appearances. Welcome to the Chiefs world. He ain't wrong. Because
we know
every team gives the Chiefs their best because they're the defending champs. They've been on top for a while. And the Bills get that treatment sometimes too. Because, I mean, look, let's go back to the Rams. The Rams gave it their all. Like Bot said, they emptied the tank on us, man. They emptied the clip. Everything in that clip, they just let it go on us. And we're getting every team's best. They know it, especially in the division. You think the Jets are going to lay down? Bro, they're going to give us their best. They're like, yo, we're ruining your chances. But I think the Jets just blow, and I don't think they're going to do anything. But the point is this. We are going to get everybody's best, just like the Chiefs are. And the Chiefs deserve it because they're 2-time champs. They're trying to go for a third, which is absolutely crazy to me because the Chiefs are 14-1. How it's so difficult to win one, let alone two. They're going for their third, and they're 14-1. Just by looking at the sheer numbers.
Off of a Super Bowl win, I believe.
Isn't that insane? Most teams fall off the cliff after one. Look at the San Francisco 49ers for crying out loud. These boys are eliminated.
Mahomes already has the second most seasons, I believe, with 14 wins, and I think he's been a starter for, 7 seasons?
That's unbelievable.
Oh,
it's absolutely unbelievable.
It's crazy, and it's just the way that they're doing it, and it's nuts. That's why they unarguably should be the favorite, even though a lot of people feel like they're not. It's just because the way they're winning, but they're winning nonetheless. And then people want to say that about the Bills today, like, they won this way. Well, if we're going to look at it like that, then you got to look at the Chiefs like that too. You can't have it both ways, of course. You know what I mean?
Both ways, baby. Not at all. Richie Fresh, Rich. Richie says, yo, silver lining. We win a game, we typically lose. You know what, though? Richie ain't lying, man, because that could have been the Billsy loss, right? We go out, we go head to head with the Lions. We beat the Lions. We went toe to toe with the Rams, right? We lost that one, but still, it's all good. We went and beat the one blemish. Even the wife said it today. She's like, "Isn't that nice to be the one team that beat the Chiefs?" Because I see that one there, and it is nice. She's right? And it comes down to at the end of the day. But silver lining. These type of games, we would typically lose. So good teams find ways to win. And that's exactly what we did today. And we got the win. And that's all that matters. Chiefs are doing the same thing. Bills are doing the same thing. And you know what? At one point, we're going to have to meet again. And we'll settle it. We'll settle it once and for all. And do it two ways. Eliminate them from getting their third. And we go ahead and handle business on our own. That's all that's got to happen.
I cannot wait for Steelers Chiefs on Christmas Day, though. I just think that the way that the Chiefs have been winning, and then the Steelers style of football, like, it should be a great game. That is the opportunity, I think, left open here for the Bills. I don't know if can you possibly fathom, Rico, back-to-back losses, one of which being to a rookie quarterback in a situation where the Chiefs know if they lose, they wouldn't have the one seed. Like, man. That's tough to fathom.
No, it's true. It's true. We can't just we got to make it hard for them. We can't just give it to them.
I agree.
And we did our job by beating them head to head. So to go lose to the Patriots, nah, bro, we can't let you do that, man. We shouldn't have lost to the Rams, but we did. But it is what it is. We're here now. So that Christmas game, like you said, all eyes are going to be on that one for sure. GQ Bob, what's GQ Bob saying?
GQ Bob. I think it's time to pull the cord on Elam, who was booty Yeah, I know. I don't know. That's what I'm telling. That's what I'm saying. Like that was frustrating today. It's like that's what the Patriots were able to keep that game competitive with guys you've never heard of. That was probably another reason why it just feels like an L. You know what I mean? I don't know who that was, GQ Bob. I'd be lying to you if I told you I did. He had a day on Elam. He looked lost out there. I know one thing. Douglas needs to get healthy fast. Elam cannot be out cornerback twoing in the playoffs. I mean, we talked about this earlier. Yeah, it's today was a liability for Kaiir Elam. There's no two ways about it. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. He not only did he allow the TD, and I didn't think it was that big of a deal compared to what I had saw online and how people were reacting because I thought it was a terrific throw. I mean, give credit sometimes where credit's deserved. It was like Matt Stafford's throw to Puka there, like on Benford. It's like what are you going to do? You can't do anything. Sometimes perfection outdoes great defense. But Elam, at that final drive there, it was just like, man, you're going up against a rookie quarterback and this booty guy, and you're getting 2 consecutive holding calls, and you're not even attempting to defend the ball. And we had said earlier, like, back to the point here, like, that's Drake May and booty, right? It's not Lamar Jackson and Rashad Bateman. So it's like, what happens then? And then what happens when that happens in a bigger spot than it happened today? Because there's no bigger kill to a defense than holding and pass interference. The only reason the Patriots had a chance to get to 21 earlier is because they bombed a ball down the field and there was pass interference, and there was 2 pass interferences in the end zone. So if I need out of anything today, man, the penalties, it was just like, dude,
we were sloppy today. It's just what it comes down to. Sloppy. We didn't play our best. And we know that. I'm sure I'm sure they do know that. Signified Note says, yo, we need 2 Super Bowls. We sacrifice the Sabres' soul. I mean, losing. Do what you got to do. If we have to send the Sabres packing for the Bills to win 2 Super Bowls.
They've been packed. I think they lost their 13th consecutive game either today or, yeah.
Bro, pack these boys up, man. Send them packing, bro. Oh. They ain't doing nothing for Buffalo right now. They're not. But I know y'all love your hockey, and you got to deal with what you got to deal with. Golly, that's got to suck. Has there ever been a period where the Bills and Sabres were off at the same time? I don't know. Or has it always
been in the drought? Well, yeah, I think probably like 2014, I would say probably around there. But I mean, like early in the drought days, the Sabres had good teams, you know. I don't think it's ever been this bad simultaneously.
At least they had the Sabres to lean on when the Bills are bad. But golly, I couldn't imagine if the Bills are bad and Sabres are bad and you got nothing to lean on. You're like, God, give me something. What's the lacrosse team that's out there?
The Bandits are they're one of the best in the business.
Well, listen, then you can lean on the Bandits for crying out loud.
Right, yeah.
Or lean on UB. But the 2 professional teams that's in your city, obviously the Bandits being one of them, you're leaning on lacrosse? Oof. Anyways,
not what you want to be doing. You don't want to be leaning on lacrosse. You know, that's just not what you want. And that's coming from a former Lax player. You know, you don't want to be leaning on that for your fan pride in town. You know.
Hold on a second. You used to play, so like, do you ever just jump into a rec league and just get in there?
No, I probably should. Although I probably need to be put on an oxygen mask 5 seconds into it, I would imagine. But dude, I got some buddies who do. They love it.
Dude, you should jump back in there, man. What the heck? Get in there and start slinging that thing around, bro.
No, you're probably right. I probably should. I'd have to dig up my old gear from my parents' house.
Listen, dig it up. Blow that shit off. Yo, let's get in there, baby. Let's go. Richie Fresh comes in and says, yo, need y'all to be careful what you wish for, man. This ain't the same rinky-dink Steeler team as last year. Call me crazy, but with I don't know what the ADJ is, but I'd rather see Baltimore.
With adjustments?
Well, with adjustment. I mean, listen.
I'll call you crazy.
One way or another, both teams are solid teams. So it's just who peaks at the right time, man. And if the Bills peak where they're supposed to peak, I don't care who we got to play. Sometimes when you're destined for something, ain't nothing gonna stand in your way, bro. Like we running through you, running around you, but one thing's for certain, you're not in our way, out the way, because we got goals to make. You know what I mean? We got goals to meet. So whether it's the Pittsburgh or Baltimore, I mean, shoot, we got to face one or the other.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't take the Steelers lightly. That's still a damn good football team, but I just would much rather face them than Baltimore. I mean, you saw them play Baltimore this afternoon or yesterday afternoon.
Yeah,
I mean, Baltimore is just the better football team.
No question. JP, fellas, our defense is so bad. I'm at the point where I just want Josh to win the MVP, and we lose to someone in the playoffs other than the Chiefs. JP, listen. Let me.
We got to set the bar a little higher.
Share facts, yo. Not only is Josh going to win the MVP, bro, we're going to the chip. We're going to the chip. Listen, I did something that I normally don't do. Bot knows this. I'm not a jersey guy. I don't do jersey in the grocery stores. I don't do jersey, but I wanted to wear the jersey for obviously for football related things that I'm doing. And the wife, she said, yo, we need to go to the grocery store and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oof. So I have to make a decision.
Oh, you didn't. Did you do it?
Do I change or do I just say, fuck it, let's go? Guess what? Your boy went grocery shopping in the jersey. Something I said I'd never do. And then I get, go Bills. Pardon me? And now I'm like, I'm at a standstill. And the guy's like, do you think they're going to do it this year? And I'm like, this is the conversation piece. So I was like, and this is what I try to avoid, folks, but we're in it. So I'm like, yo, man, we got you. He's like, no, man, you are. I don't think I'm in Patriots land. So there's a lot of Patriots fans around here. So he's all like, man, you guys are going to take it. So the folks believe. They believe. We got to win it, man. We got to win it. Joel JP, we ain't going to take that for you, bro. We ain't going to take it. We got to win it. We got to win it all. What's Hug Music saying, man? Hug Music.
I would have loved to have seen some footage of that, though, by the way, of you in the grocery store.
It was something. I turned around and my wife was like, oh, it's happening.
Like, I know. I would have loved to have seen that.
Go somewhere with that. Hawk Music says Bass nailed his field goals and extra points, squeezing ass with Bass. Listen, man.
50-yarder right down the wickets today.
Right down the middle. I told the wifey, I was like, ugh. And I still have a bad taste in my mouth. Anytime he's about to kick, I was like,
I know.
Are you feeling the same way? I'm like, I don't want to feel that way. I want to feel like it's automatic.
Money on the deep kicks for whatever reason. So,
yeah, but he made a 61-yarder, didn't he, last time? I was like, yes, he did, but. And I didn't want to say it, but I had to. And he right down the freaking pipes. I was like, all right, bro. We got it. We got it. We did it. Jesse Snow comes back again with a super chat. What's up, Jess? Jess says, don't give up on hope on the 1 seed just yet. Both Chiefs games are important for both Pittsburgh and Denver, too. Hungry dogs fight. Go Bills. And you're absolutely right, Jesse. It's going to be a dogfight right till the end, man. Broncos want to repay the visit back to the Chiefs, not only for themselves, but like, we know we can play with you. That's number one. Pittsburgh, they just took an L to the Ravens. They ain't trying to lose again. Mike Tomlin's going to come in and bring everything he's got. So it's going to be fun to watch. That's why that Christmas game, that's going to be fun to watch. It's going to definitely be fun to watch. Oh, for sure. Shadow Blaze says, hey, assuming the Bengals make it to the playoffs, man, Shadow Blaze is on some with the Bengals, right? Assuming the Bengals make it to the playoffs, are the Bills one of the weaker teams in the AFC with this defense?
Well, the Bengals defense is twice as bad as the Bills defense.
Yeah, I was about to say, listen, we've had 3, I'd say 2, because this game wasn't so bad when you really think about it. But overall, it's the Lions, man. In context, we faced the Lions. The Lions was the number 1 scoring team in the league. And we went in that game with the 2 starting safeties gone and Rasul Douglas gone. Like, what you want? What you want? You know what I mean? Like, we and at one point, we held them at 14 points. And then this is when it opened up because we missed a couple tackles and boom, that's when things opened up. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. But we were at one point holding these brothers down. So I'm not all the way ready to give up on these guys. Do I trust them? No, I do have some trust issues with them, but I'm not giving up on this defense like, oh, man, here comes that defense. Because I still know they got some in them. Plus, we weren't 100%. Wait till we're 100%, then we're going to be rocking. Man. But that's the way I look at it. Bot, you got anything to say about that one?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think that they're one of the weaker teams in the AFC at all. And if anything, if the Bengals made it, then they would be, simply based on their defense. Their defense is far worse than the Bills. That's for sure. And I think the Bills could, they can keep up with that offense of Cincinnati as well. And I think that they would have the advantage there. I think the Bills' defense is better than Cincinnati, so I think there'd be an advantage swinging to the Bills. But like I said earlier, I think every one of these teams has they have some sort of disadvantage, right? I think every one of these teams do. So I just don't see one team head and shoulders above the rest right now, really in the entire league.
Yeah. I see it. I get it. Listen, man, have faith. Trust the process. Isn't that what Coach keeps telling us? Trust the process. And speaking of Coach had some things to say today in the locker room. And let me play it for y'all right this second.
All right, hey, congrats on the win, man. It's hard to win, right? We know it is hard to win. Congrats. Great job. We're going to learn a lot from this one right here, right? We're going to learn a lot. Way to come together. Second half, defense taking the football away, offense controlling that line of scrimmage. Hell of a job, man. Hell of a job. Hey, a lot to be thankful for, right? This time of year right here, a lot to be thankful for. Good win, baby. Good win. Hey, win on 3, 1, 2, 3. Win.
Simple, to the point. We out of here. He knows, bro. It wasn't pretty. I mean, but win is a win. At the end of the day, that's pretty much what I caught from that. Win is a win. Do what you got to do. It wasn't pretty. Let's get out of here. Josh, round these boys up because we got a lot to clean up and get healthy and all that good stuff, man. So that's the way I look at it, man. But 2 hours in the books. Last words.
2 hours in. I mean, look, like you just said, a win is a win. This game definitely wasn't as exciting as the weeks prior to this, of course, for obvious reasons. Bills did not play particularly well today, but they got out of there with a W, which was huge. And I think that moving forward here, basing what we know of these Bills on what we've seen this season, it's hard for us to base everything going forward on today's sample size when we have such a wide sample size of the whole season to look into and realize that these Bills have been playing some of the best football in the NFL. This was one of those days where it didn't seem that way, but regardless, they still got out of there with a W, a bad day, no doubt, but a win. And I still have faith in this team based on what I've seen collectively throughout the year, Rico.
Correct.
To play much closer to what we've seen going into this game than what they played like today.
We've definitely seen it's not like the Bills have been a bad defense. At one point, we were a top 10 defense in this game. These last couple of games have skewed the numbers a little bit, but don't be. Listen, we got a good squad here, and this could be a championship squad. That's just one thing. Could be. We got a super chat, another late super chat from Cass. Cass says, "Are you even a Bills fan if you don't have trust issues?" She's freaking right. Cass is right, man, bro. I walk around with trust issues, bro, especially with these Bills, man. Even wifey said, "Yo, how?" I can never sit and watch these Bills comfortably. I was like, no, you can't. You just can't. It just won't happen. It won't let you. The Bills Mafia will not let you. And the team that plays, that we root for, never lets you. They always got you saying, what if? Could it be? Unless it's a beatdown, then we're all celebrating. We're having a good time. That's why that perfect game against the Patriots will forever be amazing. Ever. Raldi, these Ravens fans are draining on X. I'm not ducking smoke. Give me Josh versus Lamar at home, playoff game to settle the debate. We can't be scared. Yo, I like that, man. Sometimes you don't want to duck smoke, man. Yo, bring the smoke right here. Let's go, man. Let me throw some hands. You know what I mean? Bring it to your front door. Let's get this thing going. Let's settle this right now. Let's see who the big man is. So we'll go from there. But that's it for us, folks. Listen, 2 hours in the books. It wasn't a pretty one. I mean, usually me and my man Bot are normally hyped up on a big time win. This was a win against a team that ain't gonna do anything for us. I mean, and from Coach Brady saying Josh is saying Coach Brady kind of held back. They want to give the whole arsenal. So something tells me they got some cooking, and they didn't want to, sample. They didn't want to give the sample out. They just wanted to just keep everything in house. Cool. As long as you got the win, stayed somewhat healthy, we good on that part. But Bills win 24-21. It's a close one, but we all know that the better team was the Bills. We just got to make sure that we get on the A's and Q's and take care of business against the Jets come next week. Bot, what you got, boys?
Gross W, but a W nonetheless. All you can hope is you see more out of these Bills next week against the Jets. I think we will. Like I said earlier, it's nice to have poor performances in a W because Coach can get on this team heavily this week without having it come at the expense of a loss. So I think that today there was a lot to learn from. Out of anything, I need these penalties to be cleaned up because I think that's the most controllable element. And I just think that today, like I said, hoping it's the outlier, knowing that this Bills team has played such great football for the majority of the season, today wasn't, but they really haven't played this gross a game probably since the Houston Texans game, really, collectively, in terms of both sides of the ball. So you'd rather have it happen now against the Patriots than you would in a couple of weeks from now in January against whoever. So W is a W, lot to learn from. Hope they learn from it this week, bounce back against the Jets, and we'll start to get that playoff picture becoming more clear here.
Heck yeah, man. Next time you guys want to wear those red jerseys, maybe go red on red. or face a team that's a
Or
whole
just get
different
rid of
color.
him. I'm out on him.
You're out, huh?
I need a new alternate jersey. I need something new. I need something more exciting. That's where I'm at with it.
Give me the black, man. Give me the black alternate jerseys, man. Let's talk about it, man. These red ones, I liked it. I liked it. Something I could wear later on. I'd probably try to catch a jersey, but I didn't like it against the Patriots. It was just too much.
I agree. I think that's what it was.
Too much red going on. But anyways, folks, that's it for us. I don't know if you got some outro music for us, Body Boy.
We'll play our jazz music on the way out that we played on the way in. How about it?
Why not? Listen, it's one of those games that it's just good to get away with a dub.
Yeah,
things will taste good this week. And we'll come back at it again next week against the Jets, the rival Jets. Dion.
No doubt. Dion will be fired up. We'll be fired up. Hopefully, we'll talk to you soon. If we can't, or if you don't join us before Christmas, we want to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas from Rico and I. We hope you enjoy the time with the family, and we hope you enjoy the holiday season. I can't believe it's already here. So if we don't see you before then, we really hope you enjoy your Christmas. And if we do see you before then, we'll have a lot to talk about this week, including this game, how the AFC playoff picture continues to unfold. Jets coming up, a lot coming your way. So look forward to talking soon. Very Merry Christmas, everyone. Enjoy the W, even though it wasn't the most exciting. Enjoy it nonetheless. Much love as always, and go Bills.
Go Bills, baby. Peace. Merry Christmas, folks.